pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll with planet. Water tower, fly! Flight downside, SPD off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, y'all. There are things happening out at Boca Chica, so you know us. Got to spool up the live stream to see some ice form on the side of some stainless steel. Let us know. Can you hear me? John Geller with NASA Spaceflight here. Got Jack Byer on with me, and of course the live feed courtesy of Mary, Boca Chica gal out there. We have been standing by waiting for something interesting to happen, and it looks like something interesting is now happening. Jack, are you on the audio with us?
I am, in fact, on the audio with you. Good
evening,
good morning, whatever it is for you out there in TV land?
TV land?
I don't know.
Stream land?
Internet land?
Internet
But yeah,
land?
we're here. We're here. We're tank watching. We're doing this.
Yep, I got my hoodie on. I got my Tank Watcher hoodie on and everything.
That's legit.
So tonight we've been looking. Oh, and I actually need to update the overlay. So Jack, you talk while I update the overlay.
All right. So you may notice in front of you there is a Starship with significant amount of frost on the LOX tank area. That's because we're looking at a cryo test. We think possibly even currently underway. They might be loading right now. They might be testing right now. We're not really sure. They don't publish quite exactly what they're doing, you know. So we're reading the tea leaves here a little bit, but that's why we went live. It looks like this vehicle is getting tanked up with some liquid nitrogen there, not propellant, not expecting an engine burn, not expecting any kind of flights or anything tonight. In fact, you can see the I don't know what you want to call those, like straps, I guess. The flaps have little venting.
Yep.
The flaps have little, like, I don't even know, straps, I guess is the word for it.
Tie downs or something.
Yeah, tie downs.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds. So yeah, no kind of flights or flaps or anything like that expected tonight, but definitely tanking of the vehicle with cryogenic liquid nitrogen and pressing on it with that hydraulic ram underneath it that you can see there. And that's what we're expecting. And we could see this thing get significantly more frosty. We could see it stay this level of frosty. It's really, I'm not quite sure what to expect, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Are they going to fill it all the way up with the cryogenic liquid? Are they just going to fill it halfway up? Like, what are they going to do? We've got it all the way up. So I noticed it says LN2 loading. So are they using liquid nitrogen tonight, Jack? Do we know for sure?
I mean, no one has said there hasn't been like an Elon tweet or anything, but it's a cryo-proof test. So that's what they would use. They're not going to be using LOX and they're not going to be using methane, because either of those things, there's a variety of reasons why you wouldn't want to use either of those for different reasons for each, but liquid nitrogen, I believe, is what they are using.
Gotcha. And we think they're going to fill up both tanks, because previously when we were watching 7.1 go, 7.1 was only a single tank, right? But this actually, SN8, is the bottom of an actual flight Starship prototype. And so it has two tanks in it, right? It has a methane tank that would be up on top and a LOX tank that would be down on the bottom. The white ring we see there, that's definitely part of the LOX tank. It's like the lower part of the LOX tank there with the skirt after behind it, I guess. But we would expect while they're doing the cryo-proof test, they fill up both of those tanks, the methane and the LOX tanks? Or what do you think they're doing tonight?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think back on previous cryo tests that we've seen, and if they have done both tanks. I think that they have. So a good point there. But now, you know, I'm unsure. I kind of want to go back as I'm talking, look at one of our previous videos or previous streams, for when 5 or 6 they're cryo.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Definitely. Oh, is that the drone?
It looks like it is the drone up there around the top of it. You see a blinking red light up there.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. It's like, I guess it's on the far side of it. It's flown past it. Where did the thing go? Nice. And now it seems to be going away.
That would be such a fun job.
Yeah, that would be a cool job, actually. So I moved the overlay all the way up to frost rising because there is definitely some frost that has risen on the bottom of the tank. And do we go to frost holding? I mean, I think frost holding is really meant for the entire thing is frosted up, as opposed to the frost is like halfway up or something. I mean, I guess technically the frost is holding because it's not moving very quickly or whatever, but I think that's what we're looking at, right?
Yeah, I would concur. Do you
Yeah.
concur?
I concur. Dang it, I should have concurred. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Starship SN8, that flight prototype that's supposed to get a nose cone, supposed to get all the fins and everything, supposed to get 3 Raptors and fly up somewhere north of 15 kilometers, according to Elon's latest tweets. And they are doing what's called a cryo-proof test tonight. They are putting some cryogenic liquids in there. We believe that's liquid nitrogen. I almost called it liquid methane, and I'm like, liquid methane? That's not correct. Liquid nitrogen. And you can actually see that white ring about a little bit above halfway on the fins there. That is frost forming on the outside of the tank. So they have definitely put some cryogenic liquids in there. We expect, hopefully, that frost line goes all the way up the side and we see this entire thing go frosty, but we shall see. Again, this is SpaceX's timeline. They are doing these tests. They're deciding what they need to do. So they may very well back it off from here. They may very well hold it here for 1 hour. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but hopefully we see a full cryo test here late at night. It's 1:20 a.m. Central Daylight Time, CDT. You can see the clock up there at the top. And the team here tonight, of course, we've got the live feed courtesy of Mary, Boca Chica gal. She has been standing by watching this thing, waiting for it to do something. Pinged us all in Discord and sent up the DOS and Jack signal where we both showed up to come over here and hang out on the live stream, get everything spooled up. But we will be watching what's going on here with SN8.
Good old SN8.
Good old
It's always
SN8.
nice to see it venting a little bit. It's like the vehicle is coming to life.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really watching that frost line because I thought that frost line was higher before.
It does kind of look like it's receding.
Yeah, I thought it was up past the weld line on that ring, and now it looks like it's lower. In chat, the ambient there, y'all can hear that the vehicles driving by and stuff like that. Let me know if we need to turn that down or turn that up or whatever. Go ahead, Jack.
That's always kind of the tricky thing with tank watching like this is we want to go live when something interesting is happening for sure. We don't want to waste anybody's time, but we also don't know exactly what's happening. So you see a significant amount of frost on the vehicle, especially more than the last 2 nights that we've been watching this happen. So we thought, hey, it's happening. So we're live. But you're right, it is receding a little bit. But you never know. They could sit here and hold and then pump some more into it or kind of roll the dice.
Absolutely. Like we said, they don't issue any sort of official press release with a testing protocol or timings or anything like that. They just sort of do their tests, and we sit here and we watch the tanks and we look at the frost on it, we look at the venting, and we look at the tank farm and all the different things that happen, and we just sort of guess, test, and revise based on our previous experience as to what's going on. So thank y'all for joining us here this evening. We'll continue to keep up with what's going on down at Boca Chica. Looks like a super chat came through. Look at this. Hey, Andre, how's it going? Andre Carmel with the 100R saying tank watching there. He's kicking off the stream with the 100. Thank you very much, Andre. Jack, do we know what the R is? I thought I looked it up before, that I thought I got it wrong. Maybe Andre can correct me. I think Andre might have done
I think it's
a
Brazilian, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it. If it's Real
or something like that?
Pronunciation, I don't know. But I think it's Brazilian.
Because I think the first, Real, R-E-A-L, I guess, if that's the right abbreviation on the front of it, But let's see. Because I think the first time I looked it up, I thought it was like South African something like that. I don't think I got that correct the first time. But that happens. That's what happens sometimes. And then Grant as well. Grant Hugstad with another 5 Australian, continuing to toss in the Australian dollars there. We appreciate you, Grant. Grant was there all over the live streams yesterday as well, right?
Yeah, you beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Excellent. And there's another one. Yeah, Real, you got it, Jack. It sounds like you said it correctly, Andre, confirming that it is Brazilian reals. Reals. I think Real sounds better.
Heyow. Heyow.
That's what Google is saying.
It sounds like
Heyow.
the word cow to me.
It sounds like a cat meow. I'm
It
just
sounds
gonna go
like a
with
cat
Real.
meowing.
Hope that that's more correct. I don't trust the computer. Okay.
Oh, geez. So, there, Andre, thank you again. There's another one, that 100 Real. This is Real. You got it, Jack. We appreciate the continued support over and over. Andre, we'll have some surprises for you, hopefully. You did that huge amount of support directly via PayPal a while back, and somebody let us get a hold of that and make some things happen. So stick around the channel and watch what's going on, because whenever we get support, we definitely convert it into cool content. That's sort of like what we do. No, I'm not singing it. Hey, I didn't even mention that. I didn't even mention that, Chris. That's not even anything I said.
Trust me. When I don't even. Okay, I'm not. Yeah, you guys will be singing, but you'll have to wait. Stick around and wait.
Yep. Then over on the Twitch side, Vinius Cheese is noticing these guys work whenever they feel like it, test in the middle of the night. They actually moved these tests around as they opened up the Boca Chica Beach there. It was my understanding that the county asked them to move some of their test windows tonight so they didn't have to shut down the road all day, barring public access to the beach. The road that goes past the test site there is actually the only public vehicle access to Boca Chica Beach. And when SpaceX closed that down, they're actually closing off access to a natural resource to the public. So the county, I guess Cameron County, asked them to move some of their testing to the night so that they wouldn't block the public's access to that beach. And that's why we see a lot of these test windows go from like 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. now. So it isn't just them testing whenever they feel like it. It is them testing in such a way that they don't block the only access to the public natural resource there, that Boca Chica Beach, that the public can enjoy. So is this the first? Let's couple questions here. Again, if you have questions for us, try to tag us at NASASpaceflight. That'll make it a little bit easier for us to get the questions into the queue. But we can see, is this the first stage of the rocket? Joe R. asking. And this is the, I guess we'd call it the second stage, right, Jack? Because the first stage would be super heavy, the big boosters. The
Yep.
booster, singular. There goes that truck again. Yep. There you go. Now, okay, wait a second. There, NASA spaceflight. I don't know if I agree with that statement. You said if you imagine the whole rocket is 100%, you're looking at 60 to 85% of the rocket. I think you're looking at like 20% of the rocket, right?
Yeah,
Starship.
I think it's they have it backwards, or we're
Yeah,
misinterpreting what they're saying. But yeah.
Yeah, because Starship, this is a part of Starship. So this is like 60 to 80% of Starship, because it still needs the nose cones and the forward fins. But the
Yes.
entire rocket, I'll pull that back a little bit if we get that backup noise. There we go. Once you get the entire rocket, you have the super heavy booster, you have the Starship on top. This is going to be, I would say, a teeny tiny part of the entire full stack, which we're still a ways away from seeing, aren't we, Jack?
Yep, and he clarifies in chat the top 60 to 85% of the entire 100% of the vehicle. But yeah, he's talking about this being Starship. Once it gets the nose cone on it, it will be taller. So this is most of Starship minus as the non-insane weight.
Wait, something like that. It's 60% of the time, it's 85% of the rocket 100% of the time. I don't think that makes sense. Something like that. Will SN8 have a nose cone? Willem van den Enden. Yes. According to Elon, this vehicle will actually become a vehicle at some point. It's sort of a piece of a vehicle right now. It's the methane tank, it's the oxidizer tank, and it's those fins and the aft skirt and a bunch of raceways and lines and stuff like that. But according to Elon, this is supposed to get 3 Raptor engines. It's supposed to get a nose cone and those forward flappy bits. And once it gets all those things, I think we could start actually calling it a vehicle instead of a test article or a prototype. And look
Yeah,
at
I mean,
that. Go ahead.
I think these qualify as vehicles. I don't know. Michael and I were talking about that a little bit last night.
Yeah.
I think it's a vehicle. I mean, why would this not be a vehicle?
Well, this is not a vehicle because it doesn't have the nose cone or the engines yet, right? And then I
Was
think
5 and 6 vehicles?
5 and 6 were vehicles as long as they had engines on them.
Okay, so once this gets an engine, it'll be a vehicle.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's not really the bed of the truck because I guess the fairing would be the bed of the truck. But is it
Okay.
really like is a truck that doesn't have an engine in it a vehicle? I don't.
Yes.
Do you think it is?
Yeah, we're getting into like some Chip and Pleasius stuff here, like, but no, really,
Grandfather's
I
hatchet in
think
the house.
it's about the intention of the creation, right? So the intention of this creation is that it's a vehicle, whereas
It's
like
on its
7.1
way.
is clearly a test. I mean, 7.1 was never going to get an engine. This
Right.
will get an engine. There's a spot for an engine. There's hookups. It's ready to go to accept one. It just doesn't have one yet. It's like,
Yeah, it's more of a chassis. I like this. Mikkel S in chat says it's more of a chassis. It's like the frame of the truck is there, the body of the truck is there. It's got some wheels on it right now, but nobody's actually put the motor in it yet. So it's not very useful as a vehicle. And then once it gets the motor, and once it gets, I guess they have to put the bed. It's sort of backwards in this analogy because the nose cone is where the payload goes, and the bed of the truck is where the payload goes, right? Once it gets those things, it's really then a vehicle. I don't know. I mean, we can call it either way.
We're getting a good amount of condensation out from the skirt area. Check that out.
Yeah, you're right. Is that frosting? Look at the frosting sort of it's gotten more of a gradient there, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be growing. I think we might be pumping some more oxygen into this thing.
Yeah.
Looking good.
Imagine 4 quarters. This is like the 3rd quarter. Don't tell Dots I typed that. All right, if you had a stack of dimes, right? This is like you had a stack of 10 dimes. This is like the 2nd and 3rd dimes down the stack. The first dime is missing. This is the 2nd and 3rd dime, and then 7 through 10 are not there yet. How's that sound? Wait, 4 through 10? Whatever.
Oh,
Anyways.
my head.
Is a single roller skate a vehicle? I like it. So I really do think it looks like that frosting. It looks like they've started to chill down a little bit more of the tank. You're getting some definite blurring. Before it was a little bit of a hard line, and now it's a little bit of a blurred line. Hopefully that whole thing frosts up, and we see that they fill that LOX tank on the bottom completely with liquid nitrogen.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see. And then at some point, hopefully they pump some liquid nitrogen into that methane tank up top as well. And Adrian Beal in chat saying they did both tanks earlier when I was wondering what they did on previous vehicles. Vehicles, Das.
Vehicles.
Yeah, they're saying that they did both tanks. So we could very well see that methane tank get frosty as well.
It makes sense that they're doing the oxidizer tank on the bottom first because it wasn't one of the failures because the bottom tank lost pressure and the top tank still was really heavy because it was filled up with liquid and the whole thing just sort of collapsed like a beer can, like a lead beer can on top of an empty beer can.
Yes, like a beer can standing on another beer can. I don't know. I'm gonna drink some more coffee. but you're right. I think it was SN3. If I'm not mistaken, it was SN3, and I think it was an Elon tweet or something confirmed that it was a ground support equipment issue, which I hesitate to even say right now. I don't know if you heard my hesitation. Given all the scrubs they did
ground
because of GSE. Yeah, it's like a ground support issue. Oh, I hate it. But no, really, they pumped out. As part of the testing flow, they drained that lower tank. It lost its structural integrity, and the weight of the methane tank up top there crushed the lower tank. And Mary got such crazy footage. I think that might be in the intro. The thing popping in the intro is SN3 crumpling, if I'm not mistaken. Which I know a lot of people say we should change that, and I do want to update the intro when I get a chance. But that is just, I mean, come on.
It looks
so cool.
It looks cool.
It was a bummer at the time because we want to see this test campaign progress rapidly. And I think that's part of the reason we all are interested in Starship and these activities because it represents that rapid progression. But as lame as it was to see that happen with SN3, now we can kind of look back because we have SN8 on the pad with flaps, ready to get a nose, ready to get Raptors, ready to fly. We can look back at failures like 3 and kind of chuckle and just kind of like, wow, that actually happened. Same with SN4. And then when that time they detonated a giant methane oxygen gas cloud next to SN4, which then caused SN4 to go kersplitters.
Like, just disappear.
Yeah. Oh, man. Like, the stuff we've seen in our tank watching, I mean, it's pretty crazy. But, yeah, I digress.
I feel like we should get, like, merit badges or something. Like...
Oh, my God. That's we should post that in our store Discord right now because I would buy badges. And you could have one for each test or for each vehicle. Oh, my God. That is a fantastic idea. I support that.
Like we need some sort of methodology by which you could get your passport stamped or something. Like,
It would
yes.
have to be like very Boy Scouty and whatever. It would be where you had like some, take a short little test or whatever to get the actual badge, or someone would quiz you like, all right, you want your SN3 merit badge? Okay, what's the weight of the methane tank full of liquid nitrogen? No, that's the weight of it full of methane. You don't get your patch. Try again next.
I was gonna say something simple like when an event happened, you could post up something in chat and it would log your credit. You know what I mean?
Oh, there you go. Yours
that
is
would
way
be
better.
Cool. Like if we saw like, okay, there's a static fire, right? And then everybody in chat at the time could post, here or something, and it would log their username and the fact they were there when we said it was a static fire. That would be cool. In our copious free time, right? We'll just get on that.
It could send an email out. I'm making more things for Michael to potentially have to make someday down the road. It could send an email out and to all the people that did it for members, and then that would unlock kind of a coupon code for the store, which allowed you to actually buy the patch.
Oh, geez.
There you go. Yeah, and then I will personally come to everybody's house that buys a patch and give you a hearty handshake. No,
hearty handshake. Nice. Again, y'all, this is a cryo-proof test. We are here covering it because Mary, Boca Chica gal, rolled out the live stream gear this evening and is giving us these live views from Boca Chica, Texas. That's Starship SN8 on the test stand right now, and you can see that it's getting pretty frosty. You see some venting right there, but we've got frost forming on the side, either really significant condensation or the beginnings of some pretty good frost there on it. And we are expecting they'll do what's called a cryo-proof test, which means they'll put some really cold liquid into the vehicle and they'll sort of push and pull on it and move some things around and make sure that the vehicle is not going to leak, is structurally sound there before they, I guess, go any further, before they start putting nose cones on there, before they start installing Raptors. You don't want there to be some sort of flaw in this vehicle that would destroy 3 Raptors, right? You want to go through some of these pressure tests, especially the cryo pressure tests, because the strength of the material actually changes whenever it changes temperature. You get it colder, and the 304L is supposed to be stronger when it gets colder, right? So they're pushing it through all these tests and making sure that it is good to proceed to the next step. We saw some stuff last night, right, Jack? But we don't think it was a full cryo-proof. It was just like a partial cryo-proof for last night. Is that what y'all thought?
I don't even know if it counts as a partial. I mean, the vehicle was definitely pressurized, and it did get very slightly frosty, but nothing even close to what we're seeing right now. Although last night, man, my sleep brain or lack of sleep brain is failing me now. But last night, I think it only frosted up there at the interface of the common dome, would be in between the methane tank and the LOX tank. And I could be completely wrong. I could be misremembering, but to me, that makes me wonder if 2 nights ago they did like sort of a proof of the LOX, and then last night they did some sort of test of the methane tank, and then tonight perhaps they'll go full up with both. But that's complete speculation on my part. I could be misremembering the events of last night. I had very little sleep, so.
I was sleeping last night during that, and then I picked up the torch with the Starlink launch that happened this morning. We almost did the NSF tag team. You and Michael were
Yeah.
running the Starship testing. Then we woke up and we had Thomas and I over for the Starship launch, which this was another thing. This was getting on my nerves a little bit today. I don't know what chat thinks. Like, chat can disagree with me, but everybody was like, "Oh, finally they broke Scrubtober," and I was like, "Does nobody even remember Antares launched a couple days ago?" Like, did Starlink, did Falcon 9 break Scrubtober, or was it actually Antares that broke Scrubtober? What's your opinion on that, Jack?
Antares broke Scrubtober.
That's-
I mean, maybe it's because Antares is out of Wallops. People are isolating Scrubtober to just the events of Kennedy, and I can understand
Yeah,
a little bit. I can understand it a little bit because, again, Antares is out of Wallops. It totally Scrubtober applies, and it totally broke Scrubtober. I agree. But from the
Yeah, yeah.
perspective of media, who has repeatedly been subjected to Scrubfest 2020 over the last several weeks out there in Florida, I could totally see how for them that's the real breaking of October, because they're in Florida, their person having seen a launch, repeated scrub, whatever you want to call it. Does that make sense?
yeah. No, I completely get it. It's like I was down there for a few of those attempts actually, so I know I was down there for a Delta 4 attempt, and I was down there for GPS 3, I think it was, or was it Starlink, or I don't even remember at this point. It was going off of, no, it was 39A. I was
Oop, did I lose you?
Firefly Linda. Oh, am I still here?
The last thing I heard you say was at 39A.
Well, I was talking about Starlink at 39A. We may have had a little internet hiccup there on my end. But I completely get it. Like, people down at the Cape, that's sort of their world, covering the things that happen. And just to get hit with so many, 2 different SpaceX rockets that couldn't get off the pad, that Delta 4 Heavy that's been trying to get off the pad for, I guess, months at this point, right? And
Yep.
I totally get the pent-up frustration. And just wanted to say, oh, it's broken. But I'm a huge fan of Wallops and Antares. It's like the forgotten launch pad that nobody knows how good a view you can get at Wallops. Like,
Yeah, I think we all sort of, all the people that do this, we all kind of have a list, right? We all have a list, the things that we know are possible that we want to do, and Wallops and shooting Antares in particular, but shooting any kind of activity at Wallops or just going there, I absolutely is on my list. I'm dying to do that. I can't wait till things in the world get back to normal. It's such a, I mean, the photos from there, the views, and oh man, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. It's a really cool place. For that matter, that's why I harp on it so much, because I love Vandenberg, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited that we're about to get Sentinel-6, I think is what it is, coming up.
Look how frosty it is now, Jack. I mean, it's gone all the way up to the top of the LOX tanks, it looks like.
Yep.
I mean,
this
I'm
is
going to go
looking
ahead.
great.
I'm going to make the call that has liquid nitrogen all the way up to the top of the dome. It looks like to me, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is looking really good.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good.
And we're getting
I'm excited.
a lot of vapor coming off the bottom, like out from the bottom of the skirt. So that is definitely a good indication that whole vehicle is getting sort of frosty. You know, something I hadn't thought of. I wonder how the frost, which goes about to the middle of the rear flaps, like, I wonder how that thermal differential changes the motion of the flaps. Certainly that's something they're going to need to test, because you have the cold 304 that's literally got ice forming on it on the top hinges of the flaps, and then you've got it would be cold, but it's the skirt, so it's not going to be the same. I mean, there's no ice forming on the skirt at the back, and you have hinges and hydraulics back there, and I wonder how that frosting and that icing can affect the motion of those flaps, you know?
Yeah, and just the hinges in general. I mean, what kind of grease do you put on those hinges?
Yeah. I wonder. So this would be something I would want to see, right? I would want to see a cryo proof test where they flap the flaps. Like, literally activate the hydraulics and move the flaps while it's
electrics.
iced over. That's right, because they changed it to electrics. That's right. That was like a new tweet from
But
Elon, right?
yeah, to your point though, I was a little bit surprised they had it had the flaps tied down like they are right now. I think they were moving earlier, if I'm not mistaken, but um, it's interesting that they would do this test with them stowed. I mean, you'd think like, come on, flap them, do it.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be on their list at some point where we actually see motion of the flaps during some frosting. That was a big chunk of ice that just fell off the side. You see that?
Yeah, awesome, so
Nice.
cool.
Again, if you're just joining us, thanks for hopping over to the NASA Spaceflight stream this evening. This is live from Boca Chica, Texas. I'm John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight. The other voice you hear on the line is Jack Bayer. Oh, why did I mess that up? I'm like, say it right, and then I said Bayer, and your name is actually Jack Bayer, and I don't know why. I just faked myself out there. And we have the live stream courtesy of Mary, Boca Chica gal. She's been out there waiting for this test most of the evening, it looks like. Or not looks like. I mean, we know she's been waiting out there most of the evening. She told us she was. So everybody put some love into chat for Mary, who is bringing us this live feed right now as we watch a cryogenic proof test of Starship SN8. Jack,
Well,
you got the panel up? Can you grab a couple super chats real quick?
Yeah, sure can.
I gotta look at one thing real quick. So
it's really condensating out of the bottom there.
Yeah,
I mean, this thing is fully active, fully involved. I don't know. That's a fire right now.
That's like a Firehouse Subs thing.
Oh, we don't have those here.
Really?
It's one of those chains that I would go to a lot when I lived in Florida, and they don't really exist in California. Same with Steak and Shake. Ah. Okay, let's see. Andre Carmel, no more singing. Thank you for your support with the brilliant Brazilian Real. No more singing ever. No more singing ever. And then Grant Hugstad, thank you again for the $5 Australian. Killing it again, Grant Hugstad, with another $4 Australian, 2 different super chats. Thank you so much, Grant. You were crushing it last night too. We really appreciate your support. It's super awesome. And then Brown, we got Brown in with a new membership. Let me see if I can see what level they came in. Nope, I can't. Darn it.
I think it scrolled off, unfortunately.
Whatever level you came in, Brown, at, welcome, and we hope you enjoy the perks. Members, give me a double Gwen in chat. Give me a double Gwen. Thanks. How about that? Enjoy the member perks there. Oh, Grant with another 2. Thanks so much, Grant. And last up, Victor with correction at it's math. It's numbers and math. It's like it stings my eyes. This is 54.86% of the full Starship. Will look almost twice as tall with it. That's quite astounding. I mean, I am extremely excited for when they finally get a nose cone on here. Flaps and a nose cone. It's going to look completely different than everything that we've seen so far. And it's kind of nice too that we have Starhopper on the left of the frame right now, because we can see how far we've come in just over a year. Starhopper looks so derpy. And I love you, Starhopper. You look really derpy. SN8 looks awesome. It's a full-on real Starship, and it really will look that much more realistic once they get the nose cone on there. So thank you for the support, Victor. Oh, we got 2 new members. Ken, you, welcome to Red Team, and Dan, welcome to Red Team. Kablam. Throw some of our sweet emoji in chat. I'm going to give you a Tory. That's right. I give you a Tory. Deal with it.
Give you a Tory. Nice.
I don't know. I became a member, and I'm obviously I do this on stream, and I'm a NASASpaceflight employee or whatever. But like, I have way too much fun with the emoji. Double Bob. Let's answer some questions.
So I got one over here from You Got Any Grapes? Do we know if this SN will indeed be flying with a nose cone and flaps? And the answer to that is yes, right?
Sure enough.
according to Elon at least. Elon did say that this one is supposed to get a nose cone. It's supposed to get the forward flaps. It's supposed to get 3 Raptors, and it's supposed to hop to. It was 20, then it was 18, then it was 15. We'll see what the final judgment is. But I think the last thing Elon tweeted was 15 kilometers, 15 plus, right?
Yeah, and that's absolutely going to be madness. And I think also that includes a Raptor in-air restart, meaning the 3 Raptor engines, which is another differentiator between everything we've seen so far. 3 Raptor will shut off. It'll coast upwards to apogee, and then I guess orient into a belly flap position. I guess that's something we don't really know if that'll happen. Presumably, it'll have to come down one way or another, and then at some point the engines relight and it lands. So it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, and that is full on frosty right now. That is a nice white sort of consistent. It's not a gradient. It's not like, oh, it's a little frosty. Like, that is solid white on the entire side of the LOX tank there. And again, there's a little bit of the LOX tank you don't see. There's the sort of curve at the bottom where the thrust puck is, and then there's the curve at the top that has the bulkhead. Of course, the curve on the top actually curves down into the white frost area because the methane tank has the upward and downward facing curves, right? The bulkhead's in there. But
I'm shocked you're not drawing it.
I know. I need to spool that up. I've been juggling other things so far. So we will. I'll see if I can get that going in just a minute. But that's full on frost mode, I think. I don't know if we want to go to frost holding. I think do we wait until
it's Frosttober?
It's Frosttober. The days are getting longer and cooler, as you can see by the frost forming on the sides of whatever. Anyways. But we have that frost holding status, and I don't really want to go to frost holding until they also start frosting the methane tank. And we don't even know if they're going to do that, do we?
A frosted methane tank sounds delicious. But yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying. Frost holding should be. I mean, this does look a lot like frost holding. I mean, it's frosted and it's holding. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. We should wait until the methane tank is also filled, which would equal frosty. That's why we care that it's frosty. And then switch to frost holding. Concur.
Yeah, concur. We need, like, you know those shows where the judges have to buzz in their answers? We need like that, where like 3 little things appear on the screen, and it's like, Jack, concur. Das, concur. Michael, dissent, or whatever the opposite of concur is. I don't know.
There you go.
Disagree.
I'd do it. I'd get I get like a really nice button or something and just have it on my desk. I've been looking for an excuse. There's a wireless Internet of Things. It's like an arcade button that I've got my eye on. So give me a use for it, DOS. I'll get it. Business expense.
You remember how my mic mute button wasn't working correctly? And so I ordered a new one. Yeah, the new one that I ordered is temporary only. It's like you have to hold it down while you're muting it, or you have to hold it down while you're talking, which doesn't work when you're streaming for 8 hours straight. And so I've got to ship it back and get another model. Oh, look
at that vent.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We were seeing that the other night. It looks to be around the area of I think the methane recondenser, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're just using that as a liquid nitrogen there. Is the flare stack? It's still over there, right?
Yeah, it's still over there. We just haven't seen it actually online in quite some time.
Oh man, I miss the flare stack.
Yeah, the flare stack.
We used to be able to do this and just watch a giant column of flame, and that was the tea leaves. And now we're kind of looking at a stainless steel grain silo with some icing on it.
With some
and
ice
a little
on
bit
the
of gas
side.
coming from the tank farm. This is like the boss of tank watching.
The boss of tank watching, nice. I'm gonna see if I can grab the telestration up real quick, and then
I'll answer some questions.
Yeah, there was a question that just snuck through there. Why do they always test so early in the morning for Starships? Can you reiterate that one? We get that one a lot.
I mean, I think part of it is they test when they're ready to test. They work all day until the everything is ready to go. But also, they are, what was it? They were asked by the county to not close the road so much during the day. They were doing that a lot, so they're testing at night now. I think that's the long and the short of it. Let's see. Dan asking, excuse me, sorry. Any idea when those will arrive at the site? I mean, good question. I think as soon as they get this cryo test done, we could see it plopped on one of those roll lifts or mobile. Oh gosh, what is it? Mobile self-propelled transporters, and enrolled to the launch site. It could be very soon. I think, didn't Elon say it in the next week or so? So
Yeah, I think so.
That'll be really a sight to see. It's one of those milestones, along with 3-engine Raptor flight, or just even a 3-engine Raptor static fire. It's going to be a really, really incredible milestone to see only happen after so long. And I say so long, but in the scheme of test programs, it's been light speed, but still, that'll be really exciting.
There
Let's
is
see.
a bull snort sort of vent. You can actually hear it on the ambient, Jack. Do you hear that vent?
Oh, hang on. Let me change my settings.
I just cranked it up there, but that one tank is definitely double venting.
Yeah, look at that.
Whoa, vehicle. Jeez.
Is that the drone again?
Yeah, the drone's out there as well.
Damien Luke asking, best guess which serial number will have full shielding? Oh man. I mean, didn't Elon say mid-teens would be when they go orbital with Starship? So if that ends up being the case, then I don't know, maybe 14 or 15, maybe like 13 at the earliest, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they certainly have, I'm not going to say a backlog. They have like a full-on assembly line of Starship parts going, so.
Oh, yeah. I think we've seen parts up to 12, and 9 is fully stacked. So we've seen 10's thrust section. We've seen 11, I think. Have we seen 11's thrust section? I think so. I mean, they just keep wheeling thrust domes out, sleeving them, and just doing it over and over again. We've even seen...
There's another weird vent going just to the side of Starhopper there. It's probably that tank behind Starhopper. But that's some interesting venting happening over there.
Yeah, I was wondering if they replumbed things since because they removed a tank recently. One of the tall vertical tanks. They pulled it out, put it sideways, and moved it. I'm not quite sure where they moved it. Mary might be able to tell us. But yeah, so I don't know if they replumbed how things were. But definitely some different venting than we're used to have seeing. But a good question, Damien. The question about the heat shield. Let's see. I'm trying to go through some more. I'll shut my mouth up, quit blabbing. Question. Let's see. Have they ever fired 3 Raptor engines at once? Nope. I don't think they've even done that at their engine test facility at McGregor. Although I don't know that we know that, but I feel like we would have heard. I think the only way for them to test 3 engines at once currently would be on a vehicle here in Boca Chica.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know of a test stand. Well, I mean, they just did the static fire of the Falcon Heavy side booster out at McGregor, which would have 9 engines on it.
Fair.
But I don't know of
Fair.
a Raptor test stand that does the same thing. We've seen that individual Raptor horizontal test stand. Have we ever seen a vertical Raptor test stand? Raptor on
I think
vertical fire?
I think the tripod is a vertical Raptor test stand now, right? That giant tripod thing that kind of looks similar to the orbital launch pad they're building here.
Oh yeah, the orbital launch pad, the big concrete tubes that they've been pouring, right?
Yep. Yeah, so maybe they could do, just because we haven't seen it yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist, especially with an aerospace company and especially with a company like SpaceX that is working on so much behind the scenes that we don't see, even though we see so much.
Yeah.
It'd be cool. I wonder if Reagan, she's one of the people, on Twitter and online that's got her ear to the ground. She's out in McGregor. Has ever heard anything that would be like a 3-engine Raptor firing? I feel like she would have tweeted about that and we would have all talked about it and been like, oh, holy cow. So, but
Yeah,
hopefully it
you'd
happens
like
soon,
notice the difference, right?
right? Yeah, because you can tell, I'm sure, between different engine types. I think even just between Merlin and Raptor. Let's see. Colin Woods asking, is just the locks frost? Yes,
Yes. Right now,
correct.
right?
Yeah, but it's a good question for if you're watching this and you're a new tank watcher, you're a new Texas tank watcher out there. Horse winning, whip crack, whip crack.
Whip crack, whip crack.
That one had 2 whip cracks. If you're a new tank watcher, yes, that's a really good. It's sort of like a self diagram that SN8 has done. It's like, this is my locks. Thank you, SN8. And you can see the area below the white is that thrust skirt or leg skirt or whatever you want to call it. That is kind of, I don't want to call it hollow space. It's a void because the Raptors would be in there. Right now it's the thrust simulator. It's just pushing up on the bottom of that bottom bulkhead, aka thrust.
Yep,
We
yep.
might be about to see some classic telestration on
I'm
part of
working on it. I
dots.
was going to draw what you were saying, so.
So I blew it.
No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
so underneath the LOX tank there is that thrust dome section. So you can see it, like I said, SN8 has been very nice. It says, this is my LOX tank. And underneath that is the thrust skirt or leg skirt. I think I've seen it labeled recently. And there you can see the dome, you can see the LOX tank, and that would be the common dome, common bulkhead. Dome and bulkhead are kind of interchangeable in this parlance. And there you go. And that top portion would be the forward dome, and you have the common dome, and that's what makes up the methane tank. There is the forward dome and the common, and that sits on top of the LOX. And there you go. That's the whole thing. And then
I
they'll
guess
put
I
a nose
should have
cone on it, some more flappy
erased.
bits. I'm like trying to think of, I'm like I'm throwing more balls into the thing you're juggling. So I'm trying to and then they'll add a giant monster with some arms kind of thing with really cool.
Look at all the majesty.
There you go. It's got a lot of magic.
I was trying for a beefy arm there, but I was in a hurry. There we go. Clean that up a little
great
bit.
question, Colin. Great drawing, Doss. Thank you.
Thank you. I try.
Trisan asking, I'm sorry if I'm messing your name up, asking if Bluezilla will come back or if this is the end. So if you watched the daily update video today, like and subscribe. We have daily update videos. If you watched the daily update today, you know that Bluezilla is being dismantled, I think. So I don't know if it's just undergoing inspections or it's going to be dismantled and hauled away. But we will see what happens. They just started assembling a new crane over the last several days, so we'll see. Maybe they'll swap the one out for the other, or maybe the new crane will be headed to the launch site. Just something we'll kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm putting strong bad lyrics in the chat to the tune of SN8.
Arrow asking, do you think SN8 will crash on its flop maneuver test? I honestly don't know. Every time so far with like SM5, even with Starhopper and SM6, I thought it'll launch fine, but landing is the sketchy part. So we'll see what happens with SM. every time I've thought it's too crazy, they've defied all expectations. And I have a lot of experience with retro propulsion and Falcon 9, so that's probably not nothing, at least in terms of their toolbox.
Jack, you think I should switch this to frost holding? Like, it's not changing, but the frost is definitely holding. Like, what do you think?
I hereby designate you the frost holding guru. So
Oh,
if you think
jeez.
it's frost holding, DOS, I'm down. It's frost holding.
Well, technically it's
support you.
holding, so I'm gonna switch it to holding.
Didn't we
Like
see
that.
the CH4 tank get frosty though?
We were talking about that earlier, Michael. By the way, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. We were talking about whether or not we should wait till the top also got frosty, but then it's holding right now. It's not rising right now. Like we were discussing what we should do there. But I think for now we'll probably put it to holding, and I'll switch it back to rising again if we start to see the methane tank rise as well.
Yeah, I was just watching the SN5 and SN6 cryogenic proof test timelines. And it seems like every Starship we see, they fill the cryogenic proof test, at least in terms of frost, what we see in a different fashion. It is interesting.
Yeah. All right. And folks, the new voice you've heard there, that's Michael Baylor. You saw his information flash on the screen there for just a second, but we gave him the beginning of the window off there so he could get caught up on some sleep. He was holding it down last night, and I said I'd take the first shift, and he's on the second shift here. But Michael, we just got started here. I guess how long have we been live even? Let's see. If only I knew. 54 minutes, so less than an hour here we've been live, and we've got some serious frosting happening on SN8.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but usually these cryo-proof tests go pretty quickly.
You just jinxed it.
You just jinxed it. Nice.
Let's see. Grant Huckstad, thank you for the $2 Australian. Thanks so much, buddy. Crushing it with all these. And JJ, new member. Let's see. Can I see what? Oh, I think it scrolled past. Darn it. Well, whatever level you came in at, JJ, thank you. Our members are seriously awesome. And if you came in at a level that gives you Discord access, say hey. Trying to see. Let's see. Do we have any crazy Kerbal crap? Oh, okay, Red. Then you get them. I think you get emoji at that level, right?
And you get the exclusive previews to the videos.
All right, the video previews. Cool. I'm gonna throw a Jimmy B in the chat. Do we have more emoji slots? I know we get more emoji slots over time, right?
We have a lot more emoji slots than we are filling. We can definitely add a lot more emojis.
Are you serious? We have emoji slots and we haven't been using them?
I'm sure we probably have like, I'm gonna check. I would guess we're using like less than a third of our emoji slots.
Yeah, it's tough to keep up with them, honestly. Like,
yeah. See, Harry Stranger saying we need a shuttle. I mean, come on, SLS shuttle hugger emoji when, says Adrian Beal. I mean, come on, it's like a no-brainer. How is that not happening? Anyway.
We have 30 emoji slots and we have 7 filled.
Jeez.
I am livid. Anyways, thank you for the support, everybody, and thanks for coming in at PadRat. And let's see, Jessica asking, do you guys know anything about the Russian rocket concept Mir? Looks like a substandard ripoff of Falcon 9. First, is that thing that came out recently? They released like a PDF or something of it.
Yeah, it was the Russian rocket drawing that had landing legs on the bottom of it.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that at all, but I mean, it's just good to see rocket companies taking reusability seriously. So if they build it and it works, more power to them. And thanks for the support. I'll pick out some more questions. Andre Carmel saying, new mic fun for Michael.
Yeah, Michael, I tried to back you off a little bit there. It sounded like you were like blowing the mic out.
I think his mic is like really touchy, right?
Yeah. Also, he's not in a studio. You can hear like echo and stuff in the background. But again, y'all, we're not sitting in studios. I guess I'm the only person who's sitting in a studio with a bunch of anechoic foam and stuff like that, a green screen behind me and stuff like that. We don't all have perfect recording spaces to talk from, but it's not going to keep us from talking, as you may have noticed the last 100 hours of live streaming we've done. So.
Ray asking what the stoichiometric ratio of the fuel is. And I sort of remember learning that word in chemistry, right? It's a mixture thing, right?
Yeah, it's just
on the
it's talking
chemistry
about
spot.
Yeah, it's just talking about the mixture of the air, like it's air to fuel ratio, I guess. I don't know exactly. I can't tell you what it would be for methane and LOX, but it's just talking about the mixture.
Build into trains asking, do you think they will test the fin actuation while frosty? Nope, because they are tied down. See, they got little tie down. It's like a yellow tag. Is there a tag on there even? It almost looks like there's a tag fluttering in the wind, but yep, fins do not look like they will be in play this test.
Yeah.
Significant frost holding, though, even though the methane tank isn't frosted and holding, the LOX frosted. Maybe we need to be more precise about the levels that we're at, because we're definitely at LOX. I feel like that vent right there by Starhopper.
Yeah.
That's like an appropriate amount of condensation or venting that I would expect to come off the tank. Like if it was just sitting there, filled up, we just need that little vent to get the I don't know, gaseous nitrogen out. So if that vent shuts off, maybe they're doing a press. But that's just me looking at things and guessing, and it's, what is it, midnight here. So it's not that late for me. So maybe that's not that. Wow.
Yeah, here
Arash,
I get
$50 super. Arash, don't apologize, buddy. A $50 super chat is a huge amount, and I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. You can chastise me in chat. But thank you so much for the $50. That is a huge amount. Please don't
really
be sorry.
is. Yeah.
It's like I want you to at me and ask a question. If you have a question or something that you want answered, go for it. I'll do my best. But don't be sorry. That's a huge amount. Thank you so much. We will do what we can to keep up the good work. Definitely stay tuned for lots more cool stuff.
Yeah, every bit adds up, and like I always like to say, it's a vote of confidence. Like when people support us that way, it's saying, hey, y'all are doing something that's cool. Like keep doing it. So we appreciate you, Rosh. Thank you very much for the support. I did bring in this. I got the stoichiometric. It's not a diagram, I guess. It's kind of a diagram for the combustion of methane. So they're floating in the air. You can see you take a CH4, which would be a methane, and you take two O2s. Oxygen in stable form has two oxygens together, right? So you got two O2s, and that gives you a CO2 in two waters, basically. So it's no parts of the reaction left over. It's not like you have too much oxygen or too much methane. There's no methanes left over. That is the stoichiometric diagram for the combustion reaction of methane. Now, can I do that based on volume or something like that? I'm sure I could figure it out, but it's late and you have Google just as much as I do. So have fun with that. But that's the stoichiometric combustion of methane. Yay.
ZK Gel in chat saying it's 3.71. I don't know if that's right, but
yeah, I'm not
right.
sure either. Well, it's one of the things that's pretty easy to look up, but I was not looking it up right now.
Yeah. And William Wheeler, thank you for the new membership, buddy. See, they came in at Capcom. Awesome. I think that gets you Discord access, all kinds of goodies. So thank you, dude. We appreciate the support. How long have we been live? What is
just over an hour, 1 hour and 2 minutes right now.
And how much data do we push at 1080p, 60 frames a second per hour? Is it like, what is it, like 3 gigs, 4 gigs?
3.6 gigs. 3.6, 3.8 gigs, because it fluctuates a little bit. And then that even
Yeah,
gets weird because it fluctuates across different modems. So sometimes you'll have it split across 4 modems, sometimes split across 3 modems, sometimes 2 modems. Like, it just depends on exactly where we're sitting and exactly how well the modems are behaving. So
yep.
right
Yeah,
now,
it's ideal if it splits across all of them, but then it can all load up on one. Less than ideal.
yeah, we've got 3 modems in operation right now, and it looks like the Wi-Fi is not connected. But I mean, we're good to go. The standard the bandwidth is quite nominal right now, so I'm not even going to mess with it. I don't want to mess with it.
Cool. But yeah, but that's why I say thank you so much, because data cost, not kidding. Oh wow, Grant Huckstack, man, new member. Thank you so much. Welcome to Red Team, buddy, and also Robert Wool, also Red Team member. Welcome. And yeah, if somebody asked if the top tank is empty, it definitely appears like the top methane tank is empty.
Yeah, we don't see any frosting on the side. It's probably pressurized. If I had to guess, it's probably got something in it that's pressurizing it, but it doesn't have any cryogenic liquids in it because it doesn't have that solid, I mean, any sort of condensation really, but you can really see where that ice is formed. That liquid methane, if it is liquid methane, again, we don't have exact confirmation on that from SpaceX. For all we know, they could have done liquid oxygen. But it's really obvious where the cryogenic liquid is. It's the white part.
Liquid nitrogen.
Yes. What did I say? Liquid methane.
Methane.
Oh yeah.
No
I still
worries.
had that diagram on the screen in front of me, and it was subliminally yelling methane into my eyeballs. So.
And then, oh wow.
Yeah, there's a whole
Jessica
stack of super chats.
With a $50 super chat. Jess, we seriously appreciate it. And I say insane, but I mean in the good way.
In a good way, yeah.
It's a significant contribution, and I recognize that. Thank you so much.
A healthy insanity.
They're asking. So Elon originally is it the drone again? Look at that.
Yeah, it is.
Drone. I'm like a dog with a squirrel. So Elon originally talked about Starship carrying 100 crew members. Is this still true? It looks a little small to hold 100 comfortably for 3 to 6 months. Hope this helps. You guys are amazing. Keep it up. We will keep it up. Rest assured. I also felt this, having been there, been in Boca Chica and seen these vehicles in person. They feel more like a star yacht, and 100 people would really need a starship.
Yeah.
But we were talking earlier about the nose cone making this thing much bigger, and it's a 9-meter diameter thing, and looks can be deceiving, and humans are bad. I mean, I'm a terrible judge of things like distance and volume, but humans in general, especially with large things, we can be bad judges at it. And there are I've seen some various breakdowns showing different numbers of people that would be plausible for it to hold. All that is to say, it sure seems like 100 would be pretty tight packed and might be an optimistic number. And I could totally see the first several missions with humans having more like 12 or 3 or 5 or some optimal much lower number. But they could work their way up to more densely packed missions at some point. And surely they could, because gravity doesn't exist in space and you can sleep on the walls, kinds of, depending on how loose you get with living conditions, you might be able to pack 100 people in if you're hot swapping beds or something like that, like people do on military submarines,
like hot
or what
bunking.
have you. So,
yeah,
exactly. So, but very good question. I hope that answers your question in sufficient detail.
I've heard some people say that the 100 number might have been for the original BFR, ITS, or all the original ideas, but I don't think you're ever going to fit 100 people inside of a Starship. It's not going to Mars by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't ever see that happen. It's just not big enough for 6 months plus life support, plus all your food storage, plus all the other things that you need to take with you to keep going. I don't see 100 people ever fitting in this vehicle. I think there may be a larger vehicle in the future, but I don't think 100 people. Whoa.
Forklift guy is going on a break.
Yeah, he's hauling the mail, it sounds like. So again, y'all, if you're just joining us, this is Starship SN8. They are doing a cryogenic proof test on it. You can see it's iced up pretty well. That is the entire LOX tank We believe that it's filled with liquid nitrogen right now, a nice inert cryogenic liquid, and it's actually frozen the humidity out of that South Texas atmosphere. That is the white ice you see forming on the side. Looks like the methane tank at the top is still empty, or maybe it's pressurized, but it does not have cryogenic liquids in it. That's why we don't have any ice on the top of it. And then the bottom where there's no ice, that's actually the skirt. That is where the Raptors, this Starship SN8 should be getting 3 Raptors tucked up under that skirt. That's where the thrust puck is, or the what are we calling it these days? The thrust puck, the dome, the reaction dome. Like, I see so many different names. Engines go in the bottom part. That's why there's no ice on the bottom, because that is not a fuel tank.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's labeled aft dome or aft bulkhead. I think, no, it's labeled aft. I think on
one of those,
label, but...
one of those pieces of paper they conspicuously put there so that Mary can take a photo.
I'm so thankful for those.
I'm telling you.
We joke about them being there for Mary, but sometimes it's like, wait, seriously, it's just right there. They purposely wheel that stuff out with sun shining on the good parts, which is awesome that they do.
It's like a quest item sometimes. Like, it's framed exactly this way. There's like a little ray of sunshine shining down on the sign, and then Mary takes a picture of it, and then
yeah, it's like achievement unlocked.
Yeah, exactly.
SN10 thrust dome captured. It's like Pokemon.
Nice. And just to reiterate, y'all, we don't know exactly what's going to happen here this evening. We don't know if this is the extent of the test. We don't know if we're going to see the top tank, the actual methane tank start to get full or anything like that. There is some venting happening at the top of the ice. Do you see those vents sticking out of the top? And there's actually some venting happening. A little bit difficult to see, but you can see sort of some shadow there.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting, because on the SN7.1 test tank, that whole thing was kind of capped off and more of a, like, just representative of what it should be. Whereas on this, we've seen in the super detailed close-up photos from Mary that that area is actually functional. Like, there's a valve there. I mean, clearly there's a valve there, venting. And I mean, yeah. So now they're using this section. I don't want to say for the first time. Yeah, I don't know that, but I think that.
That almost doesn't even look like a pressure vent. That sort of almost looks like it's spilling out. It's sort of cascading out instead of coming out with a lot of pressure, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not liquid coming out; it's gas coming out. So it's like, you know what that reminds me of, Das? It's so beautiful. Maybe I'm just sleep deprived, but no, it's really, really beautiful. It reminds me of like something like the shuttle or Saturn V sitting on the pad and waiting. It's like it's full and it's just sitting there. That's kind of just like steaming, waiting.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's cool Starship vibes right there. That's really cool.
I think it is. Going into the same question, someone was asking. I don't know if I'll be able to find it again. I just saw it. Why is it sort of going off the bottom? Like, why is there venting on the bottom there? And I can draw that for you really quickly. Let's see here. Let's go over this way. Oh, my other illustration popped up real quick. So what you've got with the Starship is, here's the sides of it. And then remember, you have the LOX tank that's here. Then you have up at the top the methane tank. We're sort of just, well, whatever. I didn't draw that very straight. But the back part here, this is the skirt right down at the back. And that's where those Raptor engines are going to be, like that. That's pretty a weak-looking Raptor. But there'll be 3 Raptor engines in there. And what's happening, all this here has liquid nitrogen in it, we think, right? And that's why we get the ice, the frost happening on the sides here. Okay, but the bottom of this is probably also going to have ice on it. And what you're seeing come out of the bottom, that's actually condensation sort of falling out of the bottom of this. It's the humidity hitting that cold tank that's sort of cupped up under the skirt there and literally just cascading out of the bottom of the tank. So I bet you if you looked up underneath the aft skirt, you would see ice on that thrust puck or on the dome back there, the aft dome, and you would see these vapors sort of cascading off of it as that cold atmosphere condenses up under the skirt then falls out. But that's why you don't see ice here. That's just, there's no cryogenic liquids on the other side of that. It's just open air, so it's at a much higher temperature. It's at a much closer to ambient temperature, but you do have that dome that's actually got that cryogenic liquid on it, and you have the atmosphere condensing up against that and sort of vapors forming, and it's just like a really frosty beverage coming out the back of the skirt there. But that is what we are seeing out the bottom, if I had to guess. It does.
Speaking
It does
of
sort
frosty beverage,
Go ahead.
I'm going to refresh mine really quick. So just give me a moment. I'm going to mute myself while I go to the fridge. I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, y'all, I want to reiterate, I'm sort of making some quasi-educated guesses on some of these things. It may be that what I'm saying isn't exactly accurate, or there's more going on, but that's just my understanding, given the structure of the vehicle, the pictures we've seen, things that Elon has tweeted out, and just knowing that I grew up in South Texas and I drank a lot of cold beverages. That's where I'm coming from, but I'm not trying to say like, oh yeah, this is exactly how the engineers at SpaceX explained to me what was happening. I'm just sort of giving you my best guess, my best understanding of what we're observing on the screen, because it makes me think, why do we not see vapors cascading off the side of Starship? If what I just said is exactly what's happening, why do we not get the vapors cascading down the sides? Is it that the ice has formed an insulating barrier now, so it's not cascading? Like, why don't we see those same sort of vapors coming down the side? What is different?
that sounds plausible to me, that the ice has formed an insulating barrier. There could also be some sort of plumbing underneath there that is less insulated, and therefore we're seeing it
continues to form vapors
I
like
don't know.
that.
It's a really good question.
Because even if the aft dome was iced over and the ice did form a layer of insulation that kept the vapors from happening, why do we get vapors coming off the bottom? I mean, again, y'all, I'm trying to tell you, I don't have all the answers. I really do get a kick out of sort of looking at this stuff and guessing. Go ahead.
We have $100 super chat from Aces
No way.
Down.
What?
Aces Down. You are back with a $100 super chat, buddy. Thank you so much. I'm not going to say you're crazy. You're just awesome.
You're down. How's that?
There you go. They say, been a few weeks. Work was crazy. I'm back. Thank you to the NSF team. And of course, Mary on site. You are all the best. Happy Elon. Everyone throw a happy Elon chat. And say,
oh,
thanks,
Aces.
Down.
You had me. It's such a nice comment. And then you said, you all are the best. You all? Really? Do you know what you're in this stream? It's supposed to be y'all are the best. Come on. You're the program.
Seriously, buddy. Thank you so much. Holy cow.
Absolutely.
People are blasting happy Elon, which is appropriate. It's a huge amount of support, and it's not like that's the only time you've done that. So thank you so much, buddy. Making a serious difference here.
Like a happy Jack to toss in there. A happy DOS. And a happy Jack.
There, yeah. We can do DOS emoji. I humbly request Jack.
We have that DOS Pog emote in the Discord. Maybe we could move that over. I think I would allow that.
Nice. I can run through some more of these super chats because we have a lot, actually. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah. Ace is down. Thanks again. I mean, $100 is nothing to sneeze at, especially at 3:26 a.m. my time. So thank you again, Aces, for the ridiculous support there. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, and it's good to have you back. There's like when we get super chats often or whatnot, like when members are chatting, you start to notice names over and over again. Definitely good to see your name back. Not necessarily you don't have to super chat for us to see your name and see you in chat also is what I'm saying. But good to have you back on stream. I'm glad work is slightly less busy for you now that you're able to be back in. Let's see. Black Hole asks if we know where the control room on site is. I think it's at Stargate, but I don't know that. Stargate is that building near the mid bay and the high bay over by the build site. And thanks for the two curly L's. And it's my fallback. I know it's pound sterling, but curly L's is just more fun.
Curly L's, it's catchy.
Grant Hookstad, thanks again for the 2 additional Australian dollars and the new membership. Thanks, buddy. And Andre Carmel, thank you for the 50 real. Thank you for the 20 real. They say it's 3.6 to 1. We're talking about the ratio thing again. Thank you so much. And then Shane, thank you for the $10. Says the pipe that connects to the top, or sorry, is the tank that connects to the bottom structural? My God, I can't read. Is the pipe that connects the top tank to the bottom structure? Would connecting all the forces from the thrust puck, middle bulkhead be efficient?
Like the downcomer or what?
Yeah, are they talking about the downcomer? I'm not sure I understand. But no, I think most of the structural like rigidity or strength or whatever of the vehicle is just the rings. I don't think that downcomer, if that's what you're talking about, is not.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it would transmit some amount of force, but I don't think the downcomer is like the spine of the rocket or anything like that.
No.
It really is an exoskeleton when it comes to Starship here.
Yes.
Most of the loads are going to be carried by the external structure, the external rings, basically. And the pressurization of the tanks is a big part of it as well.
Yeah, thanks so much, Shane. Hopefully that answered your question. Gordon Murphy with a $20 super chat. Thank you, Gordon, so much. Gordon's a cool name. Maybe I played a little bit too much Half-Life, but Gordon is a cool name. Meta super chat. Aces down. They're thanking Aces down with a $20 super chat. Well, thank you so much, Gordon. And then Aces down coming in with a y'all.
With a y'all.
DOS with a y'all.
There you go. A y'all. A $2 y'all.
We need a y'all. I need to start a list of emoji that I'm going to demand politely.
Oh, like a y'all emote, like
yeah, it just says y'all in
y'all.
like bubble text. Yeah,
nice.
And then Connor Hart, thank you for the $5. They say, do you think SN8 will fly before the Starship event coming up? What do you think, Das? I have an answer, but what do you think?
Did he give a date for the Starship event yet?
He said about 3 weeks recently.
About 3 weeks. You know something? If I had to guess, he may try to time the Starship event around the time that it actually does the hop. It may be a reason to visit and do a big thing and have a big media hoopla, and then have the hop somehow timed around there. It may not be the exact same day, but that may be what he's going for. If I know Elon and I know his like circus methodology of building hype for things, I bet you dollars to donuts it may have something to do with that hop, like a big media event, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I had not considered that because my answer was going to be it'll fly for the event, and then they wheel it back to the build site for the event. Maybe put it next to a super heavy booster. But wow,
yeah.
you're starting. Now I'm thinking, like, what if they did a full-on media thing around the hop itself? Because we have not seen media events at Boca Chica like we do at, say, Vandenberg or Wallops or Kennedy or elsewhere, where they kind of bring media in and say, okay, put your cameras here, you can watch from there and all that. At some point you would hope that SpaceX does that in Boca Chica. And if this is the start of that, that's plausible. I'm going to put my plausible stand. We also need a plausible GDOS.
A plausible, nice.
Okay, hang on. I'm officially making a list.
I mean, for me, it would make sense if we had a fully stacked and ready to go SN8 as the backdrop for an event, right? It's there. Who knows exactly where it is in the test flow, but the whole thing is stacked, and you have a sort of the throwback to that old Mark I event, right? Where he did the Old West facade and stacked the thing, even though it wasn't any sort of functional rocket. It was just some stainless steel that was stacked together to look cool, right? And
although it did have 3 Raptors, it was a vehicle by your standards.
It maybe.
You have no idea. I cannot tell you how satisfying it was to catch you with that and hear you make that sound.
I don't know, because it could have never flown, right? That's like saying, oh, I made a truck that has a chassis made out of spaghetti.
It absolutely could have flown.
I don't think it could have flown. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that Mark I could have ever flown.
What is your definition of flown?
I think it would have fallen apart, honhonestly. I do not think it was anywhere near.
It would have fallen apart, but you did not say, I don't think it would have flown successfully. You just said, I don't think it could have flown.
I don't even think it would have made it off the launch pad.
Okay, fair. It could have just shredded.
Did they ever do a static fire of it?
No, it failed
Alright.
cryoproof.
Okay, there you go. See,
Failed cryoproof. But so fair point. Fair point.
I was just giving you a
Probably would
hard
have
time,
shredded
Jack.
itself.
I
No,
think it's fun to talk about. I just I
we're-
like to say it was like an Old West facade so that he could have a big media background. But I think that's why this is cool, because this one we go in about just over a year's time from an Old West fake facade that's larger than life to
Yeah.
this is the real deal. 1 year later, this is the real deal. This thing is actually going to do the hop to 12 kilometers whenever we get around to it, or whatever it ends up being, right? Because the number keeps changing. That's I think that would even be cooler, because that shows progress in the time, you know.
You're totally right too, and I'm mostly just playing devil's advocate and giving you a hard time.
I have fun with it. I don't take it personally. I have a lot of fun with it.
I mean, to be fair, Jack, Mark 1, I think it's possible. I mean, people have done analysis on this. It's possible that Mark 1 holds the record for the highest flight to date of any Starship.
It could have done what?
I think it's believed that Mark 1 holds the record for the highest flight of any Starship so far.
Higher than 5 and 6, really?
And Starhopper, because the bulkhead went so high.
Wow. No idea.
So SN8 might take the throne.
So SN4 didn't even get higher with the mass simulator, because the mass simulator didn't allow the bulkhead.
The mass simulator did not get high, I don't think.
Because it was a huge mass, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the bulkhead on Mark 1 just sheared right off.
Mark 1, if you guys don't remember, they put a nose cone on it. That's the one that's been sitting around the build site for however long now. And they wheeled it out to the launch site and did cryoproof on it, and it popped at the top bulkhead there. And that top bulkhead, some people say it's still flying through space today. but it got really high. Wow, I had no idea. That's crazy.
I mean, people have done analysis on it. I think it's believed to be very close, so it could probably go either way, but it went high.
It's like the nuclear manhole cover.
Oh, darn it, you beat me to
it. No, I just cut right in. You were about to say it, too. I apologize. Sorry, Jack.
But yeah, supersonic manhole cover is what it made me think of, too.
Yeah.
That's why we're friends.
I think we made a good call on setting this to frost holding, because the frost has been holding very steadily for quite some time now.
I think I made a bad call by my drinks, because it's looking like it could be a longer night than I thought. But longer morning, I guess, at this point.
Sounds like the mosquito truck is coming around.
Uh-oh. Bent Straight asking a really good question. Say, I'm fixing to ask a question, y'all. Oh, I'm fixing to answer you.
I'm fixing to.
Yeah, right? So they say, I haven't seen tiles for a bit. What side of this would tiles be applied? Flaps folded or the opposite? I think, if I'm not mistaken, we are looking at the dorsal side.
I would agree with that, yeah. It needs to, go ahead.
The back. We're looking at the back of it. So the side
top,
the
kind
tiles
of,
would be on would be the opposite side of it to us, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Top.
You wouldn't want your venting areas and all that raceway you see on the side of it. You wouldn't want that on the side of the heat shield.
Look,
if
this was a shark,
all of that.
All right, if this was a shark and it had some eyes up here and it had shark teeth, these are teeth, all right, the fin would be like this. Okay, that would be the dorsal fin of the shark, and the heat tiles, if they put heat tiles anywhere, the heat tiles would be on the far side here. They would be on the side we don't see. That would be the ventral side, right? The ventral is sort of the underbelly, and as it's flopping down through the atmosphere, as it's doing that aero braking, trying to expose that broad side of the stainless steel to get a lot of drag by going sideways instead of trying to be aerodynamic, like nose first or tail first. The ventral side, the underbelly, would be sort of going into the airflow, and the dorsal side, where the shark fin would be coming up the back. You have the tail on the back of it here, and I think don't sharks have like some little fins like that?
Yeah.
But anyways, the dorsal fin on the shark, I know this because it's Shark Week. The dorsal fin is on the back of the shark, and the heat tiles would be on the belly of the shark. You like my shark?
I do like your shark.
Yeah, the belly's on the far side. There you go. All right.
Really good question. Thanks for the question, and thanks for the $10 spent straight.
I think it was worth a drawing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The $10 shark caricature over Starship here.
Take a screenshot, print it out. I don't know what you do with it after you print it out. I was gonna say put it on your wall, but that's kind of weird. Maybe
I should have put a
don't
laser beam on it. Oh, how did I miss the laser beam? I had a chance.
Sharks with frickin' lasers on their head, Das. That's all I'm asking for. Frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads. Vaguely
NSF
Sober,
Shark
thanks
Week.
for the $5. Say what?
NSF Shark Week. Sorry, Jack. Go ahead.
No worries. Vaguely Sober saying, thing looks really frosty. Love your guys' coverage. Well, thank you so much, Sober. You've been in here a couple times, at least. That's another one of those names that I remember. So thanks so much for the support. It is extremely frosty, and even that left side where it had kind of been patchy early on, it is just completely and 100% frosty. I'm glad we switched to frost holding.
I wonder if they're even going to do liquid nitrogen in the methane tank.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
because there are at least two more, maybe 3 more days of road closure scheduled. So, I mean, I think we just assumed as their backup dates, but it's very possible they could be planning multiple days of cryogenic crew testing. Yeah, there are 2 more days, not including, well, technically now, the next day is basically tonight, it starts, but 2 more road closure opportunities for testing, at least. They could always add more.
Yay, more late night stream. Chuck, thank you so much for the Australian 5. Say, love y'all work, all of us folk in Australia. Thanks so much, Chucka. Vernieri, thank you so much for the €5. Ruby, thank you for the $14.99 Australian. Sirius, thank you for the $5. Say, last Starlink launch was amazing. Startup noises from the Falcon 9 were incredible. Unsure if that's turbo pump related or not. Yeah, the sound of turbo pumps spooling up is honestly one of the coolest things. Turbo pump is also just a cool word, a cool piece of machinery. I mean, that's like high technology, right?
Almost as cool as turbo encabulator.
Turbo encab. Or retro turbo encabulator.
Hey, Jack, I'm going to stand up real quick. I'm going to be off the mic for a minute or two, okay?
Do your thing.
All right.
Jeffrey Eaton, thank you for the, oh wow, 50 Australian. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Sorry, that was like 19 minutes ago. Okay, here's a good question. We'll have to get Das's answer when he comes back. But no rush, Das. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I can ask Michael first. Let's see. They're saying, if you could go to Mars, send separate starships ahead of the crewed mission to dock with multiple other starships. Oh wait, no, that's not the question I thought they were asking. Never mind. It's more of a statement. 20 minutes ago, we were probably talking about something. Darn it. At me, Jeffrey, and clarify your question. Statement. I blew it. I apologize. But thank you so much for the $50. You'd send separate starships ahead of the crewed mission to dock with multiple other starships along the way for resupply. I mean, that sounds like a good idea. I figured they would just land multiple starships and then send the crewed one and land near the ones they already landed. Already have all their supplies ready to go. But thank you so much for the support. Kenny Alexander asking if Falcon Heavy will become obsolete once Starship proves to be reliable. Yes. I don't know, Michael, what do you think?
Yes, definitely. Yes? I think Starship, well, I mean, if Starship works as well as they're claiming it's going to work, I think Starship will make a lot of rockets, not just Falcon Heavy, obsolete. But that's still enough. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes maybe it would be nice to have a smaller rocket so you can not have to have such a massive exclusion zone or something like that. I don't know. There's a huge boom in small sat launchers, and it always just kind of struck me as kind of counterintuitive that small sat launchers are a thing, but obviously it makes sense given CubeSats and small payloads and the miniaturization of electronics and sensors. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there'll always be at least some demand for small sats. I don't think it'll be the most common or a large chunk of the market ever, but I think there's a market certainly for a couple of companies to fill that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Sharknado 8. Thank you, Chaka. That is, I think I like that nickname better than the other nicknames. I'm not even gonna say it because I don't like it. But Sharknado 8 is a good idea. Jack is, I heard a giggle there, Jack. I think, but yeah.
Yep. You don't have to like all the nicknames.
Well, I would have been totally fine with it if you hadn't pointed one fact about it out. But I'm not gonna get into that.
I like the version with the horse version for Crispy. That's kind of how I think of it. Sounds like a horse name. Oh, notice Starhopper venting has stopped. Yeah, good point, Jeffrey Eaton. Thank you for the $5 Australian. Now it's only that port on the side there. There was a vent over by Starhopper that was kind of blasting upwards. Now that has stopped. So I was speculating earlier that might be a suitable amount of venting for the LOX amount of liquid nitrogen. It just kind of looked right. I know that's really wishy-washy, but now that that's shut off, I don't know if that's kind of like when we would be looking at SN7.1 and those double vents up top would shut off ahead of cryo testing, pressing or pushing on it with the thrust rams or popping it or whatever. So I don't know. That's complete guessing on my part, but we're reading tea leaves here, and I saw a thing, or rather Jeffrey did, and now I'm speculating about it. But thanks for pointing that out, Jeffrey. It is interesting that venting has stopped.
Any news on the GPS mission? The rocket went horizontal. That's all we basically know. So, oh, and I guess I also forgot the instructions drone ship is heading back. So that's a good indicator that there's an extended delay ahead, but unclear exactly when the launch is going to occur. But with the drone ship heading back, it's probably at least a week and a half away.
Wow, Gordon Murphy coming in with the launch director membership as this thing. I mean, do you think it's pressurizing? Gordon, what do you think? Do you think it's pressurizing right now? Do you think that vent off means that we're going here? But thank you so much for the launch director membership. That is super awesome of you. Michael, that gets Discord access, right?
Yep, that's the second highest. So they get, I think actually launch director gets pretty much all the perks. I think the flight engineer one is just like a bonus. So the launch director, the extra perk you get for that is you get your name in the credits of NSF Live. So on our weekly show on Saturdays, at the end of the show, we show a screen with all of our launch directors and flight engineers because they are our top donors who make it all possible. So as a special appreciation, your name will be included in the show as one of the people that helps make it possible.
Thank you so much, Gordon Murphy. Super awesome of you.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
Next time we do NSF Live, look for your name in the credit. You want to do some questions? I got a whole bunch of questions here. I've been blabbing my mouth. Jessica Mills asking, when Starships launch, will the aft flaps be folded?
That's a good question. I think we were discussing that last night, and the conclusion that we came to is that we weren't sure. I think from the video animations that they've put out, these flaps are not folded, but it's possible that stuff could change between now and then. So we'll have to wait and see. If I had to guess, I think they'll probably want it symmetrical, so that would mean they would not be folded in. But at the same time, that might make the wind constraints more difficult because you kind of have a larger surface area for that wind to hit against. So,
yep,
a bit unclear.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about last night, right? Like there might be one level of wind that's acceptable for flaps out, but if they fold the flaps, maybe they get like 5 miles an hour more. So they can launch with more wind. But who knows? They certainly don't have a problem with asymmetric thrust, as proved by SN5 and SN6. So I doubt the flaps being folded would give them any sort of issues in terms of controllability of the vehicle.
Yeah, as long as you just roll it correctly. Like the space shuttle was obviously able to fly just fine. Because that had some, it was not a symmetrical body either. So it is certainly possible.
Yep. Okay, good question, Jessica. Jessica also asked, when SN8 is done cryo testing, will it go back mid-bay to get Raptors and nose cones? Raptors seem to be happening at the launch site, although we did see, I think we saw, at least what we can presume was SN6 getting its Raptor removed, or at the very least, SN6 appeared to have its Raptor at the build site. So maybe now that they can do that at the build site. But I suspect SN8 will stay at the launch site until it launches. I think it'll get the Raptors nose cone at the launch site. But that's a complete guess on my part. What do you think,
agree.
Michael?
I think that's probably the most likely. The launch stand, at least Raptor installation, gives them higher ground clearance and have a dedicated Raptor installation stand that is meant to interface with that launch stand. So,
yep.
I think removing a Raptor is probably easier than installing one, which is why they might have been able to remove SN6's Raptor at the build site. But I think the installation will probably happen at the launch site, and then they'll probably use one of those self-propelled modular transporters, otherwise known as roll lifts, to take the nose cone out to the launch site, and then they will use a large crane, as they did with Mark 1, to carry the nose cone on top of the Starship tank section.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Thanks for the questions, Jessica. If anyone has any questions, throw them in chat with @NASASpaceflight. We'll add them to our queue here.
Emma had another good question. Will they use the same ballistic trajectory as Falcon 9 with the vehicle coming in over the water in case of a failure? If you're not familiar with that, when Falcon 9 does a landing, it targets a safe place in the water. This is both for a drone ship landing and a principal launch site. It always targets a point in the ocean first, so that if something goes wrong, it does not damage either ground infrastructure at Cape Canaveral or Vandenberg, wherever it's landing, or take out a drone ship. So they target somewhere in the water first, and then if everything is going well, they make a minor correction with the vehicle's trajectory and move it on over to the landing zone or to drone ship. So I think it's likely they could do the same thing with the SN8 hop to 15 kilometers, just so that they avoid damaging the infrastructure at the pad if stuff does not go well at a certain point in flight. So, of course, there's still some risk because you have to have the last few seconds of the flight go well no matter what if you have to come over to the landing zone, but it reduces the risk if something goes wrong earlier on in the flight.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. I mean, we haven't seen anything about an Elon tweet about that or any. SpaceX absolutely is a creature of habit. Use what they know, they build on it. And if you just look at what they do with Falcon 9, it makes perfect sense that they would target the water and basically use the engines igniting and use that portion of powered flight to do the final course correction to land. And that way, exactly, it doesn't damage anything in case it goes kablooey. But you never know; it can still happen in kablooey. But as long as those engines relight, I think they'll stick it. They'll stick the landing. But those engines gotta relight.
We were also mentioning last night, we have not even seen a animation of what the 15-kilometer hop will look like. So it's really hard to say exactly. especially when we think about, with the timing of that belly flop to that the transition from the belly flop position to the landing position. They kind of have that pretty crazy, whatever you want to call it. Jack has his names for it, but we're not sure if that wild maneuver has been updated or changed at all since Elon's last presentation. So it would, I hope that SpaceX will put out an updated video of what to expect 15-kilometer hop before we see it happen for real. But it may very well be that 15-kilometer hop is just basically when we find out what the flight profile is going to be. And we might just find out during the actual thing. I don't know if we're going to get another video animation from SpaceX ahead of time.
I expect we'll find out during the flight.
Yeah, I think that's most likely, unless the presentation, Elon's presentation, ends up happening before the hop. But I think it's probably going to be time since the presentation happens right after the hop.
And I made it back here, y'all. I got up and got a drink and stuff like that. Took a bio break, so I have returned.
Dare you take a break, Doss?
I know, right? I was hiccuping like crazy. I don't know if y'all could hear me hiccuping, but I was trying to mute my mic so you didn't hear me hiccuping.
So that's what we heard, Jack. We were discussing when you were gone what that noise was.
What that noise was.
I was like, man, what was that terrible ear-splitting noise that I'll never forget what it sounded like? It's so bad. Oh my gosh.
It was like...
Kidding. But yeah, that's a really good question. Whether or not they're going to target the water. I think yes, it would be the answer there. And Michael, I don't know. I hope they have updated that crazy maneuver.
I hope they made it less crazy.
Yeah, but ultimately, I don't see Starship coming in tail first in the way that Falcon 9 does, for the same reason when we were talking earlier about all that condensation coming out of the bottom of SN8 right now, kind of that inverted cup, upside down cup or upside down bucket that is that thrust section area. I mean, that doesn't seem like the kind of thing you want to be blasting high-speed air up into. Structurally, it would just go kersplitters, right? I mean, it's just not the technical. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious how much they can change it based on the general design and methodology. I think ultimately it will have to do some kind of skydiver type belly flop, transition from that belly flop into a vertical landing position, because it's a vertical takeoff, vertical landing vehicle. So that will be interesting to see how they accomplish that.
Greg, the test is currently happening. We don't know when it's gonna end, or when we're gonna see the CH4 tank start to get frosty. But the test is underway.
It's clearly frosted up right now. There's a whole bunch of ice on the side of it.
Will Voss, draw a person for scale, Starship. Doss, do you want to give that a try?
Sure. Let's see here. Person for scale. So the size of a person is less than one of the segments on... Whoa, big vent all of a sudden. Sorry.
Look at that.
That is a big vent from the top. And look at that. The methane tank at the top, too. There's a little vent from there and a big vent from the top of the locks, it looks like.
Maybe.
Yeah. So y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is about the size of a person. Like that. I'll put a hard hat on him for safety. Y'all think that's about right?
It might be a little bit big, but yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, down to my resolution, I couldn't actually draw it much smaller than that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you could easily walk underneath one of those, like this bar right here. You can easily fit underneath that if you're a person like that.
Agree.
Something like that. They need to paint another Starman guy on the side of it.
Please
so
no.
You can tell.
That was not. And venting stop. Look at that.
Yeah. Definitely.
Methane tank still going strong.
Yeah, coming out of the top there. I'm pretty sure the methane tank was pressurized, you know?
Yeah, definitely was pressurized.
Look, the frost
they might be filling it.
The frost is going up.
Yeah, they might be filling it.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
We go back to frost rising, or is that just condensation forming because of vent?
Yeah, that could be that sort of condensation we see forming when they're venting.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. It looks more like a uniform fill than condensating based on venting. But I mean, let's wait and see. But I think it might even be starting to frost up there at that well by the
it does look like frost now.
Yeah, it does.
I think we should switch to frost climbing.
Frost climbing again? Frost rising?
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The way
I think I can find
iPad
the right monitor for that.
I got it.
The way my iPad that I'm viewing the stream that I comment on, because it doesn't have the lag or whatever of YouTube.
Yep.
I can't see the left and right of the screen. It clips it off. So I forget always what the different modes we have are. Let's see, I can go to YouTube. Duh. Yeah, okay, yeah. Frost rise. X.
There you go.
Yeah, this definitely does not look like just the venting condensation that we see. This is more than that. I think you're definitely right, Jeff. Good analysis.
It's frosting. I mean,
yeah.
Also in the same way that earlier it was really nice that SN8 was very kind. SN8 was like, hey, here's my LOX. It is also now saying, here's my common bulkhead weld. Here is my CH4 tank, my methane. It's being very nice. Thank you, SN8.
You know what I think's happening on the top? I think they're releasing whatever they were holding in there as ambient pressure as they fill it with liquid.
Yeah. I agree.
I think that's also good analysis.
Wow, look at that.
But I find it interesting how fast you're able to fill these, full-scale prototypes up during the proof test. I mean, we've seen this with 5, 6, and 8 now, where they just fill them up super quick when they want to. But with the SN7.1 test, for whatever reason, they just did it super slowly every night. It seems like it can go a lot faster. So I don't know why. I'm sure there's a reason. I don't know why with SN7.1 and SN7, the test tanks that they intentionally popped when they took it so slowly. Because that was like a 3-hour test at least.
Yeah, it's interesting that they seem to be able to fill this thing up, or fill these things up, extremely rapidly, so should they so choose. It really looks like, I mean, we are fully into a test flow here.
Oh, yeah.
By the looks of it, because all the venting from the tank farm that we had previously seen that was kind of just passively venting the gas out of the is now stopped. The vehicle is responsible right now for its own pressurization. You can see the intermittent blasts both appear to be relieving pressure from each tank as they maintain nominal pressures. This is so cool to see, you guys.
Yeah, look how quickly that's icing up. God.
Yeah, and Michael, I really do wonder how fast they're able to fill these things up, what the limit is, what they're capable of. It makes sense that they should be able to fill up a Starship very quickly, because you don't want it to sit around with cryogenics in it, warming up those cryogenics. Falcon 9 famously does a fast fill, but also with Super Heavy, Super Heavy is so huge that first stage is just so massive that they would stand to reason that they would need a significant amount of pumping capacity. Whether or not, I don't think they have the tank capacity on site right now in the tank farm, but maybe they're just testing their capability to pump these fluids around extremely rapidly. And it certainly appears that way. Look at that. It is, I mean, do you think we'll see that top bulkhead get fully frosty? I think we might.
I mean, it's almost going up to the limit of the lighting right now.
Yeah. It'd be really nice. Can we get one of those like light blimps, where they fill up a big helium balloon and stick a HDMI light in it?
Nice.
Have you ever seen one of those?
I think so. Like not an advertising thing, but
it's like the secret of movie lighting. If you really want good cinematic lighting, you just stick the biggest light you can get, like up high and far away, and then diffuse it. Okay, so we got some more activity now from the methane recondenser area behind those 3 black vertical water. Interesting.
Yeah. There's all sorts of different venting happening tonight.
Somebody somebody should make a meme video where it's just like different weird sounds for each event. I don't know.
Nice.
Maybe I need some more coffee.
It looks like that frost line is starting to hold now, but I don't know if that's just because it's starting to go into the bulkhead, which kind of curves away from that upper skirt. We can probably go back to frost holding in a few minutes here.
Yeah. I concur.
We'll just do it. But so right now they're going to be momentarily, presumably they're going to hit this thing with those thrust rams at the base of the test article that simulate the forces of 3 Raptor engines while the vehicle is under the flight pressure with liquid nitrogen. So we're not going to actually be able to tell when that happens, but the business end of Starship SN8's cryogenic proof test appears to be imminent. So it's basically make or break. We're about to find out if this vehicle is suitable for the upcoming static fires and the flight test of 15 kilometers.
And we definitely want this to hold. We do not want this to fail.
It would be not good if this thing pops, because that means there is a design problem with this test article that could likely have commonality with the other starships that are under development, so hopefully all goes well.
Although it does depend on what the failure is like.
Yeah.
We did see SN7.1 fail there at the interface 3.0. Look at that ice. It failed at the interface between that top bulkhead, which was 3.0, with different steel tones, right? The main thing was 3.04 or whatever it was. It failed at that interface. And I think SN8 is similar to SN7.1 in that it is partly 304L, partly 300 or 301, whatever series. Whereas SN9, even if it has the same manufacturing techniques as 8, depending on the failure, if this does fail, which we're hoping it doesn't, not saying it is or it's going to again, SN9 is all 304. So if it's the sort of failure that we saw with SN7.1, then it wouldn't be even that big of a deal, hopefully. But this is like 8 levels of speculation deep. I apologize.
Yeah, there can also be like test configuration mistakes like we saw with SN3, but of course this thing's going to work, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I fully expect this thing to work. They have top folks. Top folks.
So again, we're not going to be able to tell when they use those thrust rams. The next indicator we'll likely see will be defrosting. Once we see the frost line start to go back down, that's a good indicator that the test is most likely a success. Although it's hard to know for sure. They could always have like some problem and abort, and we don't know. But usually after a cryogenic proof test, if you see the frost line start to go back down, that's a good indicator that they had a successful test.
Yeah, a big, long, sustained double vent, some defrosting would be a good indicator that they are done with the test. We were joking last night. It'd be nice if each of the thrust rams had like a red light or something on it that would blink when it was when it was active.
When it was ramming.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Putowski, Kyle, I'm thank you for the $5, saying, are they testing how the cold affects the flaps? You know, I wonder to what extent they're going to be looking at the flaps in the wake of this test, but they're not going to be flapping because you can see they're sort of tied down there to ropes, chains, or whatever it is. But we were talking about that earlier, Das, right? About you were wondering if the cold would affect them, and it's a valid question.
Because it's even like half the flap, the upper part of the flap is going to have the frosty bits and some ice and stuff like that, and the lower part on the skirt isn't. So there's definitely going to be some amount of difference there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even that reminds me of, oh gosh, was it Jason 3? There was a Falcon 9 launch out of Vandenberg where they were attempting landing on a drone ship, and they hadn't done it successfully yet, I think. If I'm remembering this correctly. And it almost sucked the landing, but one of the legs didn't fully lock, so it landed and tipped over. and it didn't fully lock because Vandenberg is notoriously foggy. Some people call it Foggenberg, or Vandenfog. There's all
Vandenfog, nice.
There's multiple variations. But it's notoriously foggy, and as it was coming in, a little bit of ice. One of the, I think it was like a lockout collet or something like that is what it was called.
Yep.
Basically, prevented the leg from locking in position. That's why it didn't work and tipped over. And of course, they stuck the landing a couple of launches later, like maybe even the next launch. I forget how that all lined. But yeah, ice, these mechanisms, it's not nothing. Totally agree with you. And good question, Kyle. And $5. Grant Hugstad, thanks for the $2 Australian. Man, we had a lot of support tonight.
Yeah, we are.
Everybody, thank you so much for all the support. It's really cool that we get to hang out and tank watch. I mean, I don't even care that it's 1 a.m. I'm having a blast.
Oh yeah.
Let's do this. We got 4,000 tank watch right now. Horse swing, whip crack.
Yeehaw.
I keep forgetting the yeehaw, darn it.
You gotta toss a yeehaw in there, Jack. Come on. I know it's almost like we're just seeing pressure maintenance venting, right?
Yep,
Where every
exactly.
now and then we get a little puff, and it's almost like it's trying to maintain a pressure or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's a really, I was trying to think of, what to call it earlier. Pressure maintenance venting is a great terminology. I'm a fan. I support them.
Nice. Thanks. I just made it up.
You guys take it away for a moment if you don't mind. I'm going to step away. I'll be back in it.
Yep, absolutely.
I've been looking for that drone again because that might be a good indicator of when they might be doing some thrust ramming. But of course, the drone could very easily be off frame.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily a solid sign. I mean, if we did see it, I mean, that would be a good sign that they are doing some sort of testing that they want to have a close eye on. Claire, thank you so much for the super chat. Happy birthday, Martin Wolf. It's actually me. I stole my wife's account. Thank you for the super chat. And hopefully your wife does not mind that you stole their account.
Borrowed. They'll give it back, I'm sure.
Bent Straight. Wow, $50 from Bent Straight.
No kidding.
I recognize the name. I think you might have done that before, so really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's not even the first one for tonight
wow.
that Bent's done. Yeah.
They say
I know I'm not supposed to be here, but they also became a member tonight, I think. So thank you so much, Bent Straight. All right, I'm Bent Straight. All right, I'm not here.
Are you still not here?
They say because no one is super chatting. ... Red Team Challenge. Well, I think the Red Team Challenge is referring to the color of the $50 super chat. So thank you so much. We really appreciate the support from anyone who's able to contribute that amount of money. I know it's a lot of money, but it's very expensive to produce these streams. So we really appreciate your help in making it possible. And I'm sure all the 4,000 other people watching this right now appreciate your support, because without people like you, we would not be able to do this. Again, if you're just joining us, it appears that they are holding pressure, perhaps letting the pressure rise slightly with SN8 right now. We're not going to be able to know exactly when they hit it with the thrust rams at the base of the launch stand, but so far everything appears to be going well. And the next major indicator that we'll see will be when they start to detank the vehicle. When that happens, the frost line will start going down, and then we'll know that it was most likely a successful cryogenic proof test.
You may have noticed that the Starship has completely changed colors here. It's gone from the shiny stainless steel to white. That's actually ice that's formed on the outside because of the cryogenic liquids on the inside, which is what they're doing this evening. So appreciate everybody joining us. Don't ever hesitate. I know how live streams go. Like, you come in at any given time, there's always hundreds of people coming in and hundreds of people leaving and that sort of stuff. So I don't ever want to feel bad about saying, oh yeah, this is SN8 and we're doing a cryo test again. I know some people who've been watching the entire time may sort of feel like, oh wow, they just say the same thing over again. But just keep in mind, we're trying to make sure everybody knows what the heck's going on here.
Yep, if all goes well tonight, or this morning now, based on what Elon tweeted, the next step for SN8 may very well be nose cone installation. We're not quite sure if the nose cone is going to be installed before the first static fire or not, but I think Elon tweeted last week that the nose cone installation would be this week. So presumably, I expect nose cone installation to be the next major step after the cryogenic proof test is completed. However, plans can always change, and I don't think we've even seen a nose cone with the forward flaps yet on it, so not sure if they will install the flaps on the nose cone before they transport it to the pad or not. That was another thing that me and Jack were discussing last night, if we weren't sure if they would leave the forward flaps off to make it easier to lift it. We were kind of wondering if having the flaps on would kind of act as a sail when we're lifting it with the crane, so it might make sense to install the nose cone flaps after the nose cone is installed in SN8. But hard to say. They could very well put the nose cone fully together at the build site and then transport it out to the launch site all ready to go. So a bit of uncertainty as to what happens next, but nose cone installation is probably the next thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, it could probably be at least 2 static fires. We think we'll likely do at least 1 static fire with the main tanks and 1 static fire with the header tanks that they use for landing burns. So lots and lots of stuff that still has to happen before SN8 is able to fly. So don't expect this Starship to be flying 15 kilometers in the next week or two. It's probably going to be at least a couple more weeks until they're ready to do that. But there's going to be lots of exciting milestones, and you can bet we're going to be doing a lot of live streams to cover this. So
yeah,
stay tuned and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already.
I got a couple questions over from the Twitch side. Are those waves on the beach we hear, or cars? Those are cars driving by. And to answer the other question, hearing a lot of vehicles passing by, the camera here, Mary is not on the road that's closed. Mary is on sort of another road that leads up to that closed road. So what you're hearing are just vehicles driving back a little bit closer to the village, not quite the production area, but sort of the backside, as opposed to the front part of Boca Chica there. So it's not that there are cars driving by and it's not waves. And another question, Katra asked, is that a third tank up on the top, or are they just not filling it all the way? That part on the top, we think that's the sort of ring that would support the nose cone and the cargo area that goes up to the front. So in the past, I think we've seen one ring shorter, and we see the dome sort of extend beyond that. But because SN8 is actually going to get the nose cone, the cargo area, the crew area added to the front of it, that's a ring that would normally have that equipment on it. So it's not an empty tank or anything up there. That's just
I think it is
the structure. A tank? You think it's a full-on tank?
No, I mean I think it's just extra room in the methane.
You think it is?
It's not a third tank top. I think.
Well, we don't see the dome sticking off the top though, right?
Right. The dome is kind of obscured because there's no lighting right now because it's dark. But like they could put more liquid nitrogen in there, and it would be more frosty all the way up. I think. You're saying like the portion where the dome gets welded to the barrel is not in the ring that it's frosted at right now. It's in the next ring up.
I think it's like this, to draw just really quickly. I think the tank ends there, and we have the dome that goes up like that, and we've got a ring here, and then the nose cone will go from there. I think that's what we're seeing.
That ring
and
is extra.
yeah, and in the past we didn't need that whole ring. We just had a little tiny lip. In the past, it was just sort of like you had the dome and you had a tiny lip like that, but most of the dome stuck up above it, right?
Got it.
And in this one, I
Got it.
feel like that ring goes a little bit higher because we don't get that big obvious dome sticking over the
that
top of
makes
it. I
sense.
exaggerate a little bit there. Just sort of seeing the pictures I've seen of it from the side during the day, I haven't seen I feel like it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't feel like there's as much dome sticking over the top of that, you know?
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Nice. Texas Frost Watchers. What's up, Fraser? How's it going?
Look at that. Is that a small vent off the left side there that's kind of curling around the cylinder of the vehicle?
It looks like it. Yeah, like something's coming around the left-hand side right there near the weld line.
Yeah, we've seen a vent over on the left side, I think from 5 and 6 over there, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I want to say it was higher up though.
It could have been. I could be.
I know what you're talking about, but I was under the impression that it was at the top. Like, as in at the top of the CH4 tank, not the top of the oxygen tank.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is there venting off the top? See, there's a little light, light portion off the top.
The top center is venting.
Nice. All right. Well, vehicles definitely active. At least.
There you go.
I don't think I'm seeing that thing we saw in the last happen now though. So I think if it was a leak, we would see it continually happen. But it could just be that the wind direction change or something. But I don't see an obvious sign of a problem right now. But hopefully, don't jinx it because
no,
we have a history of doing that on this stream.
Jinxing it.
SN4, cough, cough.
I mean, do I need to split the hairs again? I'll split the hairs again.
Jinxing it or making accurate observations about what we're seeing?
Yeah.
It's one of those two things.
Look at that, a lot of venting over there near Hopper.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely putting it through its paces tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's super cool to see that they're doing this. I mean, look how frosty. I'm so glad that the test is as dramatic as it is, because we never know what to expect with these, and we don't want to take up people's time unless there's something cool happening. Yep. Cool happening. But no, really, this is significantly frosty. Is it starting to grow? Maybe is it starting to frost a little bit more higher on there? I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing.
It looks like it's sort of rounding a corner. I don't know. I see what you're saying, Jack. I see what you're saying. It looks like it's got a little bit of a U shape to it now.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going back. I'm not seeing too much of a change, but
it almost looks like it hasn't.
The one change I am seeing is that the steel between that small gap, the steel between the two tanks is starting to frost over now.
Yep. So I just tried to hurriedly cut a cheddar roll in half so I could make a sandwich. And I should not have rushed it.
What?
But nobody was talking. And nobody was talking, and I rushed it. And it's just It just it did not go
A
well.
cheddar roll?
I don't know what to call it. What does the label say?
I don't know. You're eating it, not me.
It's a Kaiser roll.
Kaiser roll.
It's a
Okay.
Kaiser roll with like cheddar cheese all up on it. But now it's like just a mangled, sad husk of what it was supposed to be. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna finish this up and cry to myself. No, I'm kidding. I sort of feel like I should be doing a cooking show or something. Okay, so we gotta take
Nice.
you gotta take the lunch meat, you put it on the thing, the mangled roll that you just haphazardly cut. Why did you do that? You take some of the bacon that you made in the oven the other day. Pro tip: if you don't cook bacon in the oven, you are messing up. Holy cow! Das, how do you cook your
How do I cook my bacon?
bacon?
Like in a skillet?
Okay, well, try making it in the oven. It's a single sheet of bacon on tin foil in a pan. Put it in the oven, 400 degrees, cold, and about 25 minutes. You'll know
25
when
minutes? I got an
Trust
air
me,
fryer for my birthday. My birthday was a little bit
Oh
ways.
man! Happy
Yeah.
birthday. Air fryer. I have not gotten to try one of those yet, but I've heard really, really good things. So maybe air fryer. Maybe just tell me to shut my mouth. Fryer.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not bad. You sort of have to figure out how to cook stuff in it, and I don't think you can cook everything in it. But I've been air frying lots of different things, trying to figure out how it goes. So I tell myself it's healthier. I'm not actually sure that's true or not, but if you get it right, it tastes pretty good.
Is it basically like a big honking hair dryer, or like how does it
actually? Do you know like the old resistive heater, the coil stoves, the electric coil stove?
Yeah.
Where you have the coil and you put electricity to it and it heats up because of the resistance, right? It's basically that and a fan put together. So you have a coil that generates a lot of heat, and then it flows, it blows hot air over the coil, and then the hot air goes over the food, and it sort of comes out the back. So
okay,
this is all it is. The one I have, that's all it is.
Yeah, like I said, I've heard good things. It would be fun to experience with all the crazy methods of cooking, like the sous vide or whatever, like the hot water bath.
Yeah. I haven't done that before. I've got a buddy that swears by that, the sous vide hot water. You like put the thing in the water container and it heats it up to a specific temperature for a long time. But I don't know. So somebody's saying cooking with cows, not like in the air fryers. For fries, they're fine, but they're still pretty gummy. See, mine aren't. The air fryer I have, they're like super crispy when they come out, a lot crispier than baking them or frying them in oil. So maybe it does take some, like, you got to dial in the settings, much like Starship testing, turning it back around here, making it relevant. You have to do a bunch of engineering to get it to come out correctly. You can't just toss it in and think it's magic. It's not magic. You have to learn the right settings and the right time, and you have to preheat it. And you don't want it to be too wet. It's a science almost.
I mean, I did get my hopes up that the frost growing. Maybe I got too excited too early, but hey,
I can't tell if it's. I mean, it's like a curvy line now. It looks like.
Yeah, it definitely it doesn't appear to have changed, but it at least isn't going down, right?
Yeah, it's not. Hey, Play the Planet, how's it going, buddy? Over on the Twitch side, Play the Planet, sneaking through, one of the other IRL streamers we hang out with. So, thanks for stopping in over there. Try air frying a Mars bar. That sounds like a lot of cleaning to do on my air fryer.
Okay, my A/B testing shows that the frost line at the very top of the methane tank has receded slightly.
Receded slightly?
I don't know if that's because you're draining it or there's a cooling pressure or something in the frost line changed slightly, but on the far left-hand side at least, it did go down slightly.
Yeah.
So we'll wait a bit more before we call it is defrosting, but hopefully they have had a good test.
I still love that vent right there on the kind of dorsal side pointing right at us. That's just sort of passively ejecting that gas. It's so cool. It's so calm, so chill. Just like, yep, I'm loaded.
So calm, so chill, all of a sudden, like.
Yeah, I should really just not talk. Everything is fine. Chaos erupts.
Let's grab some super chats that came through really quickly. Drom asking a question: how do they manage the methane venting now? They're not burning it anymore. That was that recondenser that Elon was talking about, where they're taking the methane and they're recapturing it basically. Instead of having to burn it off, they are recapturing it. I'm still not sure if the flare is online. Like if they still have the flare there, is it still hooked up? Could it be activated in emergency? That sort of stuff. But we haven't seen any fire whatsoever coming out of the flare in quite some time, I believe, right?
I've been told that the flare stack has to be potentially capable of being operational in the event of an emergency, and also just to meet the regulations that are required by law.
Yeah, it's probably in like a pilot mode where it's got a little flame, usually way down to the throat of the thing, so you can't actually see the flame. And we haven't seen them have to use it at all. But we do know that the structure is at the very least still over there. So thank you, Drom, for the support. Maurice van Schunderwoord? Greetings from the Netherlands with €2. Appreciate you there, Maurice. Thank you for the support. Bench Straight with a follow-up queue. Will SN8 have a mass sim under the cone? So that is a good question. Are they just going to put the nose cone and the forward flaps on it, or are they actually going to also have to put a little bit extra mass under the cone? Have we heard anything about that, or is the cone going to be enough? I mean, it's 3 Raptors. That's a lot.
I forget where I saw this. Maybe it was on the forum, or maybe it was in our member Discord, but header tank partially full of, well, why would they fill it full of water? But a header tank partially full of water would be sufficient in terms of a nose cone and a header tank partially full. So I assume that would also apply to a header tank, nose cone partially full of locks. So yeah, I think a mass simulator would be unnecessary, but I don't know that.
Yeah,
That's
and when you say header
on my
tank,
part.
Jack, the header tank is the it's like that ball-shaped tank that's way up in the tip of the nose. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's 2 header tanks. There's a methane header tank and a LOX header tank. And if I'm getting this correct, the methane header tank part of the common bulkhead, and basically like a dome within a dome kind of thing.
Yeah.
And whereas the LOX all the way up at the tip of the cone, and you can differentiate even among all the different nose cones that they've made. You can tell certain ones have a weld that's indicative of that header tank being welded up into the tip of the nose cone. So, so one of those kind of tipped, partially full of either propellant or whatever, is supposedly enough to offset. But I don't know that. I don't know if that's even for 1 Raptor or for 3. 3 Raptors into my into whatever I read on the forums however long ago.
All right.
And I think if anybody wants to double check me, you can just rewind the stream 3 minutes. But I'm getting close to pretty much calling this as defrosting. If you rewind about 3 minutes or so, it should be pretty apparent that that frost line is slowly receding.
Yeah, on the top, the methane tank.
Yep. I think I'm going to call this as defrosting. You can even see kind of in the center at the top of it, you can see how that frost line is kind of getting jagged now. Which means that the actual level of liquid nitrogen in the methane tank is likely a lot lower than it looks right now. It's just that frost is kind of slowly melting away.
Yeah, look at the bottom. What is that? It looks like some chunks falling off at the bottom. You see that?
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's probably close to empty right now, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting to see those chunks come off as presumably the structure, flexes a little bit from changing loads, different amounts of liquid in the tank, different amounts of pressurization.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have official information, but based on what we're seeing, it does appear that it's likely that this was a successful cryogenic proof test. But there could always be like a small problem if they had to abort the full test they wanted to do over. But all apparent indications are that this has gone well so far.
Yep.
And now we're waiting to see them make sure that they can successfully drain all the remaining liquid nitrogen in a safe fashion.
And we're sharing pork chop recipes over on the Twitch chat side, if anybody was curious.
That's awesome.
We continue to talk about cooking pork chops.
I was just saying to Aces down in chat, oven bacon gang. It's oven bacon. If you know, you know.
If you
oven
know,
bacon
you
is
know.
where it's at.
Nice.
Are we going to rename the stream "Cooking with DOS"?
Cooking with DOS. I mean, we could have like a little picture-in-picture one, like the cat. Because I was saying I do like a cast iron skillet pork chop. I've got some I'm going to do tomorrow. They're really good. Going to make people hungry now.
Maybe we should do a new members perk where once a month DOS does a cooking channel live stream where you get to learn how to cook with DOS.
I could do a mean King Ranch casserole as well. King Ranch is actually just up the road from Boca Chica here. If you're coming down from Corpus, you drive through a lot of King Ranch land. But I could do a King Ranch casserole that you wouldn't believe. I love King Ranch casserole. It's so good. It's like Southwest Mexican chicken with a bunch of cheese and like a big casserole dish. Oh, it's so good. Anyways. Someone is contesting your oven baked bacon and saying the best way to cook bacon is by putting it smoked on a stick near a campfire. Have you ever done that one?
No. Wow, I can't say that I have.
On a stick. That actually sounds good.
Okay, I'm not going to say they're wrong. Everyone can have their favorite thing, but just really quick gripe. Cooking things on a campfire, if you're not great at it, like me, you get ash. Ash is a thing. Smoke is particulate matter. It's not really great. It's like, ooh, let's roast these marshmallows on the fire, and then you get like a weird ashy marshmallow. I don't know. I'm not saying it always goes wrong with that, but you got to be careful. One of the things I like about the oven bacon method is you just get to pop it in the oven, set it, and forget it.
I mean, a little bit extra carbon never hurt anybody, Jack. If you got some ash on your marshmallows or steaks.
I mean, hey, we're carbon based, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! It almost looks like the methane tank there is getting patchy on the frost.
Yeah, it is. Right. It is. Yep. There was a chunk that fell off of there just a little bit ago.
So cool.
Yeah. You can see on the left-hand side, it looks like the liquid oxygen line might be coming down too.
Cool.
Although having said that, I'm rewinding. Yeah, it does look like over the past 8 minutes it's come down a bit on the liquid oxygen line, but that is not quite as apparent as the methane one.
I'm going to grab a couple more super chats here. Russell Jones with the 5 curly L's. Thank you, Russell. Saying, morning, guys. Great coverage. Send love to Mary. Of course, we have this live stream because Mary was out there. Mary was out there for hours before anything even started to happen to make sure we wouldn't miss anything. So y'all know what to do. Put some love into chat for Boca Chica gal, who is out there operating multiple cameras so that you get this live stream, and then sometime tomorrow, I'm going to say in the morning, but tomorrow you'll get that video where we have some high quality source footage fresh off the camera. for the cryo test that's going on this evening. So she is a legend. Adarius, you're exactly right. Mary is absolutely a legend. That's what I like to see. Aussie astronaut, Kobe Noble, everybody saying thank you, Mary, in chat. So you are
Yeah,
not wrong, Russell Joes.
Not only was she out there, not only has she been out there, waiting while nothing's happening, she was also out there all day, shooting the daily video. She always does every day. So thank you so much to me for your diligence and persistence.
Yep, absolutely. And then Roshan P. Kashi, new membership. Appreciate you. Welcome to the club, Roshan. And Grant Hugstad tossing in 2 Australian times 2. So we appreciate the continued support, Grant. Grant just keeps tossing it in to the old kitty there, helping us pay our bills and make it so we can keep on doing these things. So we appreciate you there, as always, Grant.
Sander asking about my famous beef jerky recipe. It's not famous, but it is a good beef jerky recipe. If you want to check it out, it's in my it's on one of my highlighted stories. I just linked it in chat.
Oh, nice.
Check it out. Yeah, sorry if anyone's out there is at like work or whatever and can't eat right now. I apologize for all the food talk. Look at the Starship. Look at the frosty Starship. It makes me want ice cream. Oh no, I did it again.
Well, actually, Jack, I was gonna say I am probably gonna have to punch out pretty quickly here. I've got a meeting with for the next museum show, and the next museum show that I'm doing with Intrepid is about food in space. So I'm going to be talking with some of the food scientists from NASA Johnson about how they prepare and send food up to the International Space Station. But I have a meeting in the morning to do a run through from that, so I am going to have to be calling it pretty quickly here, I think. Continuing the food conversation.
Worries.
It's just all food conversation.
You know what you should, speaking of food, see if they'll send you like a thing of tube food. I know that's not what they send to the ISS, but that's what they do for some of their pilots that have to do like the U2.
Oh yeah.
Pilots and whatnot. I don't know. That's another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's tube food, and also it's just fun to say tube food. So
tube food.
I'll just throw that in your idea bucket.
That's actually not a bad idea. I should have asked them if they could mail me something so that I could try some astronaut food live on the stream or something. I've got all the fake food, like the astronaut ice cream that's never actually been in space. Like they sell at the gift shop at the visitor center or whatever. I've got some of that stuff sitting around, but I should ask them if they have some actually like freeze-dried peas or whatever they have. Oh. Let's do a systems check here really quickly and see if there's anything I can help with. But Michael, would you be good to do a handoff here for the rest of the stream?
I'm ready to do my shift.
Yeah, it looks like those hiccups are from a modem that's going on and offline. The last USB has been hiccuping, but we've been good on bitrate all night. We haven't had any real substantial problems, so I'm really not too concerned about it. Do you just want to do the... Yeah, that was actually the modem coming back online, which caused that hiccup there. So do you want to do the RDP handoff real quick?
Okay.
Alrighty. We're going to lose audio for just a second, y'all, as we do an operator handoff. But I am going to go ahead and get on out of here. I'll leave you in Jack and Michael's capable hands and Mary's capable cameras here. I'm John Galloway. If you're watching over on Twitch, you probably know me as DOS. Leaks, I know, but got to use the real name now. And appreciate everybody hanging out with me this evening, because I'm leaving. Y'all are going to stay around. And I will see you nerds on the next live stream. I'm sure, Michael, make sure we figure out... I don't think we have any dates for the next streams yet, do we?
Nope.
I know
but
we're waiting.
If you subscribe, you'll find out anyways. So
yeah,
do that everyone.
Waiting for that booster to come back in the port. That may be the next big non-Boca Chica live stream, is the booster coming back into port. Y'all don't want to miss that one. Trust me. All right, so I'll get on out of here. I'll stop talking, and I will see you nerds later.
Thank you, Ross, and everyone stand by. We'll be back in a moment. Okay, we should be back, and it looks like we are. So just doing an operator handoff. I am now operating the live stream so that DOS can get some sleep. As you can see, the frost line continues to fall. If it's good, that means this test is probably a success. But Jack and I will continue to monitor this test with you for the next, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be live for, but we'll stay live a bit longer as we watch the frost decrease. But it does usually take several hours for the frost to fully defrost, so I'm not sure we're going to be live for all of that, but we'll keep live for a bit longer here and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, why not? And stay live until the frost. Let's stay live until there's no more frost anywhere. I don't know.
That would probably be until morning, but we'll see.
It would be until forever. No, okay, I'll shut up. Hang on, I'll be at my computer. I'll be back at my computer in just a second, and I'll be able to take some questions and whatnot. If you want to throw anything at me, you can.
I will take a look at our question queue. Again, if you have a question at NASASpaceflight, I see a lot of you are doing that, so we'll tug away at some questions while we wait. When they fill the full Starship Super Heavy, it will all be iced up like this. I wonder if they have factored in the added weight of all this ice. Dots. That is an interesting question. I will say, when they do liquid oxygen and liquid methane, we see some condensation, but it's usually not quite as thick frost like we're seeing right now. I'm not quite. I don't know exactly why that is. My hypothesis is that the boiling point for liquid nitrogen is lower than CH4 and liquid oxygen, and the boiling point for nitrogen is lower than CH4 and oxygen. So I think it might just be because the liquid nitrogen is colder than the liquid oxygen and liquid methane, and you get more frost. I'm not exactly sure why, but I don't think there'll be this amount of frost during a normal launch sequence with a super heavy Starship stack. However, that being said, there's still definitely going to be ice. You see that with like Falcon 9 and basically any other rocket. So that's an interesting question. I've not really thought about that much, but I mean, most of it usually falls off when the rocket lifts off. But yeah, interesting question. I'm not, like I said, I would be interested to hear what an expert has to say about that. Do you think Starship will be used to leave the solar system? I would be very surprised if some sort of, I don't know if when I say interstellar or whatever type of probe ever launches on Super Heavy. We've seen the Voyagers are basically headed towards the outer portions of the solar system, depending on what definition you want to go with. But yeah, I think we'll see more probes leaving the solar system in the future. Of course, it takes many years for that to happen. The Voyager probes were launched decades ago, but we'll see what happens. And I'm just fixing one thing. Really sorry for the lack of commentary, but that's just like on the left-hand portion of your screen, on the left-hand portion of Starship, you look between, you can clearly see the methane tank frost line is coming down a bit, but also the liquid oxygen line, which is the second tank, also seems to be coming down now. So good progress.
Yeah, like you said, hopefully they got a good test under their belts. Glenn asking, I'm trying to get my kids interested in space as I am. My question is to everyone. What got you into loving everything space? You know, that's a really good question. I mean, I saw a space shuttle launch when I was a kid, and I've talked about how that definitely made an impact on me. But the reason I saw that launch is because I was into space, and I don't know. It just seems like there's a certain subset of things that you can get into when you're a kid. You know, some kids are like really into dinosaurs, or some kids are really into, you know, just different things. Everyone has whatever they're into growing up, and for me, it just happened to be space. I'm not quite sure how that happened exactly, but I'm thankful it did. Trains and space, those were my like as a kid things that I was obsessed with, and also planes, of course. How about you, Michael? Can you trace it back to anything?
Um, I, I think with basically just like the SpaceX landing rockets is so cool. But I don't think it was something that really started at a younger age. I think it was like the YouTube videos and the SpaceX Star or the SpaceX, I almost said Starhopper, the SpaceX Grasshopper test flights, and just I said, wow, that's so cool. And it's going to be really amazing when they're landing an orbital class booster. So I'm kind of that, and then watching the progress of each ensuing landing attempt that SpaceX made was really exciting to see, and that's kind of what got me hooked on space.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I was like really interested in the biggest building or like the biggest ship or the longest bridge or the worst nuclear disaster or you know the biggest power plant, all that kind of stuff. I don't know why. It's like kids love the Guinness Book of World Records, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but so I think it was something along those lines, and you get into um, just kind of the edge, like the bleeding edge of what humans are capable of. So I don't know. I don't really have any great advice for you, Glenn, other than just show your kids space stuff, and hopefully they'll think it's cool. I know that's not really a very satisfying answer, but however I was exposed to it, you know, whether it was like Discovery Channel or something before, or History Channel or whatever, like before it got all crazy, but or if it was like a teacher or something I had, or maybe it was my parents. I don't know. Growing up in Florida, I just got lucky that I had rockets nearby and could then go see them in person, and then solidify my love for them after that. I mean, definitely that is one thing that you could do is take them to a launch. Take your kids to a launch. I mean, it's not really a great thing to do right now or really possible, but at some point it will be possible again. And definitely seeing a launch in person, whew, there's there's really nothing quite like it. So hopefully that's a good answer for you there, Glenn. Thank you so much for the support, the $5 Australian. Oh, you're in Australia. Oh man, see that's a for you to come out for a launch is a tall ask, I know. So that's a tough one. I'm sorry, but even if it's like model rocketry, I definitely remember making model rockets when I was a kid. I don't know if that's the sort of thing that you guys have that sort of stuff in Australia. I know different countries have different restrictions and whatnot, but model rockets are awesome in and of themselves. I mean, fireworks are awesome. And what are fireworks? So there's a lot of different types of fireworks that are just rockets. So rockets are cool. And I mean, even just like a balloon, you know, you let go of a balloon and it's ejecting the gas out of one end and propelling itself as it flies around the room all willy nilly. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can show kids the principles of rocketry, even if you can't actually go to a launch. But definitely, I would say real world demonstration of physics and engineering and rocketry and the kinds of stuff that they're capable of with a little human ingenuity. That would be where I would start. Hopefully, that's a good answer. Yeah, science fiction, Reagan Bergen or Richard Bergen, and saying science fiction is a great way to introduce kids. That might have, yeah, very good point. My dad had me read Martian Chronicles. So he like gave me an assignment. Every now and then he'd be like, okay, read this, read that. I think that's why I read The Hobbit, because my dad was like, you should read this. Okay. But yeah, Martian Chronicles was awesome. Any kind of sci-fi, really. I definitely I got a telescope when I was young. I didn't really use it much. I wish I had been better about it, but definitely enjoyed. I mean, there was. Did you get to see Hale Bopp, Michael, or were you too young?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hale Bopp was crazy. There was also a couple lunar eclipses when I was a kid that was like really nuts to see. So did any of you guys see that comet? And I forgot. I already forget its name. That was awesome.
Neowise?
Yeah, Neowise. Thank you. Blanking over here in the middle of the night. Yeah, Neowise. That was something. Hopefully, we get another really cool comet or something like Hale Bopp soon, because that's got to just be inspiring for people.
Definitely looks like that top methane tank is fairly empty now. I think the frost line defrosting kind of lags behind the actual true uh, height of the liquid nitrogen. It does take it quite a while for that seal to warm up again. So the test definitely appears to be over. We'll stick with it live a bit longer as we wait to make sure everything is safely detanked. But once it happens, we will probably be wrapping it up so that Mary can get some sleep. Because Mary is, of course, out there. And it's now almost 4 a.m. And this is the third night in a row that Mary has been out there this late. So once the test appears, once the excitement appears to be over, we'll definitely make sure we get Mary the opportunity to get some sleep. Yeah, Rohan says big on Mary. Everyone, please put your thanks in chat for Mary because uh, I don't think there's many people on this planet that would stay out there for nearly the entire night, 3 back-to-back nights, just to see. I mean, it's an exciting test, but it's not like a launch or anything. It's just a cryogenic proof test. So Mary is super dedicated, and it would be. I think it's pretty much. I think it's safe to say that it would be pretty much impossible to fully replace Mary. So we really appreciate what Mary does.
Yeah, that's why I say things like she's one of a kind, or like unequaled, or stuff like that. And that's why we say thanks, Mary, so much, because nobody can do what she does. It's amazing. I mean, I even joke sometimes. Well, I'll get the footage in for the daily videos, and I'm like, "Did you teleport? I swear you teleported. How did you do that?" It's crazy. Her dedication and persistence, not even just for these tests at night, but all day, every day, waiting for a label to be shown. I mean, we joke about, oh, it's great that the labels are positioned so she can see them, but it's also a matter of just putting in the hours. It's not that they're actually like, hey, let's face us towards Mary. I sincerely doubt that. I really think it's Mary puts in the hours. She's out there day in, day out. And, in the morning, in the middle of the day, in the evening, she goes around and she looks. And if something is showing a label, she takes a photo of it. And they're constantly moving things around the build site. So you never know what you'll catch. And it's not the sort of thing where you can just sort of swing by the build site and catch something interesting happen. A lot of times it looks like there's nothing happening. But if you sit and you wait and you do some good old fashioned tank watching or crane watching or whatever type of watching the day, you can catch cool stuff. And Mary does every single day. So that's why we say thanks. Look at that. The Starhopper vent is going again. Definitely frost receding. When I say Starhopper vent, it doesn't actually look like it's on Starhopper. It's just near Starhopper. Starhopper adjacent.
And the liquid oxygen tank looks, mostly frosted over still. It's definitely going down slightly, but I have seen on previous cryogenic proof tests, sometimes the side facing away from us can be almost completely free of frost, and this side, for whatever reason, maybe the wind or whatever environmental reasons, caused one side to defrost a lot quicker than the other side. So really hard to gauge how much liquid nitrogen is still in the test article right now, if any, but obviously still some gas in there because we keep seeing some venting every now and then.
And still condensation coming from underneath the skirt. I don't think
Oh,
we would
yeah.
necessarily see
That's a good
condensation coming
indicator.
from underneath the skirt if there was still
Yeah.
like blocks in there. I think is a good that's a good indicator that there's still not LOX. Sorry, but there's still liquid nitrogen in that LOX tank because yeah, that
Yeah.
condensation coming from underneath the skirt's intense, but not as much as we were seeing earlier. Definitely seems like they could be draining that, and it would make sense based on what like we were talking about earlier how SM3 crumpled because they detanked the LOX tank while the methane tank above it was still very heavy and full. I mean, it would make sense that they would do the methane tank first and then do the LOX tank slower afterwards. And yeah, I also agree with what you're saying about it could be mostly empty, but the frost just sticks around. Totally makes sense. I gotta say, this sandwich came out in one piece somehow. I'm quite pleased. That's your sandwich update. Ramen soup. Ikiraku ramen soup. Well, bad rat. Thanks, buddy. Seriously, always great to see all the new members when every time we do a stream. I don't even know how many members we have right now, but we have a good chunk, which is really awesome. And I think what did we hit the other day? 144,000 subs. It's seriously crazy how fast we're growing. So thank you everybody for hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And definitely know that we take that seriously and we will bring you cool coverage. If you hit that subscribe button, you will not be disappointed. So if you haven't already, smash it. Smash that subscribe button. "4:01 a.m. local." We saw what appeared to be a full filling up of this thing. I mean, maybe even the methane tank up top was completely full, but we didn't see icing on the bulkhead. But we were talking earlier, maybe there's a higher lip there on the rings, so we might just not have seen it. It's hard to say. But yeah, hopefully now they've got the data they need and they can yank that thrust simulator out from underneath SN8 and they can get a Raptor in there or get 3 Raptors in there. Holy cow. That's going to be something. Sven asking if there's something spinning above Starhopper. Yeah, you caught it. It's a little marine radar. It's like a Garmin marine radar they stuck on top of Starhopper. Good eye there, buddy. Good question. Gabby asking about the mechanics for the flaps or where they are. I think they're inside those little aero covers, like the fin roots or the flap roots, whatever you want to call them, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
Cody W saying, I love how we're all gathered here, hoping for the best case scenario of just about nothing happening to this tank. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, Cody. It's kind of a funny thing. We're all tuning in, hoping nothing happens. Oh man, and it certainly looked like nothing happened, but thankfully it was a dramatic nothing because this whole thing got super frosty, which we weren't quite sure was going to happen. Well, it looks like we might have had a little bit of a dropout there, and it's back. Connor Hart saying, just imagine a super frosty booster underneath this thing. Yeah, I mean, a full stack, that's, wow. A full stack vehicle, Starship and Super Heavy, that's going to truly be a sight to behold. I cannot wait. Definitely frost receding a lot now.
Again, all apparent indications are this was a successful test, but of course, unless Elon tweets, we're not going to know for sure. But definitely, I guess another indication might be if they cancel the upcoming road closures for this evening and tomorrow morning. Starting to see some rapid progress on that left-hand side of the liquid oxygen tank, which is the lower of the, you can kind of see there's two different tanks that are frosty. The liquid oxygen tank is the lower of two, and you can see that there's a frost line kind of fading away on the left-hand side there, and it's gotten pretty low. So I think most likely most of the liquid nitrogen is now out of the Starship, but as Jack pointed out, there's still a bit of condensation coming out of the aft skirt, which perhaps means that there's still either some pipes or some residual liquid nitrogen still in the test article.
But there's less now than there was when we were last talking about it.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's continuing to detank, and the remaining liquid nitrogen, whatever little is left in there, is being pulled out. So excited to see this thing get a nose cone on it. Oh my God, it's gonna look wild. You know, it's interesting though, we still haven't seen a full-on sustained double vent, which normally when we think test over, we think double venting, which we just haven't seen. And maybe that's just because they're waiting to get all the remaining liquid nitrogen out of it before they depressurize. Because it's not that the double vent is necessarily test over, it's test over if all they're doing is a pressure test. So maybe that would be the last thing, would be that sustained double vent to remove any remaining pressure from the vehicle. Whereas now we're just kind of detanking passively. Well, maybe passively isn't the right word, but detanking rather than relieving, completely depressurizing. Different thing. I'm talking through this as I realize it. It'd be cool to see like a large sheet of ice fall off the side of this thing. All right, let's see. Answer some of your questions. If you have any questions at NASASpaceflight. I'm not quite sure how much longer we're going to go tonight, given that, like Michael was saying, it really looks like this test is wrapping up. And it is 4:11 a.m. local time. But I'll answer some more questions. David, yes, the nose cone should have forward flaps if they are going to do that belly flap maneuver, and they should be able to move in the same way that the aft flaps should be able to move, right? Would you agree with that, Michael?
Yeah, I think we'll both be flapping.
And then Shadow Raven also asking about the flaps, if they are testing them before the hop. I mean, we've seen them moving here and there, so they're definitely going to keep testing those. I think that's definitely one of those things that we're all quite curious how they'll work in flight.
Yeah.
Hydrosonic asking, will they have to test cryo again with the nose cone due to header tank? That's a really good question. What do you think, Michael? Maybe they would wheel the...
I mean, I guess they could just cryo test only the header tank and the nose cone.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Maybe they would wheel the nose cone to the launch site, and before they attach it, maybe like do just a nose cone cryo, and then if it passes, then attach it. That would be one way to do that for sure. That seems completely plausible to me.
Mhm.
And that way, if something happens during that test, you don't risk damaging SN8. You've only damaged the nose cone itself. Good question, Hydrosonic. I hadn't considered that at all. Oh, interesting. Sa Diablo asking, do we know if they are going to change placement of the access hatches to the tanks? Now they are on the belly side, and if they are going to place heat tiles there, question mark. Huh. Hmm. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, are they on the belly? I thought they're kind of more on the side.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was under the impression they were on the side as well, but I hadn't really thought about that before.
I mean, even on the side, it would seem to be there would need to be some amount of heat shielding tiles there. And it's a very good question how they will handle the hatches and the tiling. Very good question, Sad Diablo. I wish I had an answer for you, but maybe they would just change placement of the hatches to the dorsal side and call it a day. That would seem to be the much easier thing to do. I wonder if there's any sort of reason why they don't or haven't yet. But very good question. Here's another really good question. Rudy asking, given the success of grid fins on the Falcons, why did they choose to go with a solid surface on this rocket instead of using a grid fin design that dissipates heat? I think, and Michael, you can feel free to jump in at any point. I think at least part of the reason for that is Starship is meant to land on Mars. And I don't think grid fins would work properly on Mars due to the super thin atmosphere. Mars has a very, very thin, very minimal atmosphere, and grid fins kind of need a little bit of that denser atmosphere to work. I forget what equivalent Earth altitude Mars's atmosphere is equal to, but from what I remember, which is obviously I don't remember a direct number, but it's fairly high up, maybe like 100,000 feet or something like that, 50,000 feet, 60,000 feet. I forget. But point being, Falcon 9 and those grid fins, those are used in the denser part of our atmosphere, if I'm not mistaken. So, do you agree with all of that, Michael? Am I correct, or am I just making up baloney?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, grid fins probably would not be very effective in a Martian atmosphere.
So, but very good question. And the other thing is they're not just, it's not just about control with the grid fins, which is what Falcon 9 uses the grid fins for. Falcon 9 uses the grid fins as a control surface. I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
people in
know.
chat are saying grid fins are for control, not braking, which is certainly true. So,
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was kind of going to say is that I don't know that I would even call the flaps or fins or whatever you want to call them. I don't know that I would call those is I wouldn't. I don't know if it's correct to refer to those as control surfaces. It seems more like they're brakes, like they're big, giant air brakes, right? Um, but theoretically, you could control the attitude of the vehicle by manipulating them. So maybe they're control surfaces. I don't. Very good question, Rudy. So yeah, it needs flaps to land on Mars, an aero brake in the Martian atmosphere, an aero brake in the Earth atmosphere, and be super efficient in that way. Because Falcon 9 just uses retro propulsion, and if you can save any amount of fuel, well, that's a good thing. Good question. Michael Moore asking about transporting these things horizontally. I don't expect we'll see that ever. In fact, I'm pretty sure they can't. but I don't know
Oh,
that
look at
for.
that! Look at that venting from the right-hand side now.
Look at
That'd
that.
be new.
Could be a drain.
Yeah.
Some kind of drain is occurring, or neat. I feel like we saw that kind of vent when SN 7.1 was
Exactly. Yeah, I was about to say that
testing.
too.
I wonder if the hookup for SN 7.1 from pad A is now just sort of an outlet. You know, in the absence of anything hooked up to it, it's just an outlet. But it does look the same, so it could be exactly just, not, there could be no difference. It could still be hooked up.
Yeah, it looks like both tanks are pretty much defrosted now, at least on the portions that we can see. I shouldn't say defrost, I should say detank. There's still frost, obviously, but the frost line on the western side clearly indicates that there's not a liquid in most of that tank.
Jawad, no, they did not move the flaps at all during the test. They've been tied down for the full duration of the test. Does seem like a smart thing that they would want to test. Maybe they'll test it at some point later on as part of their flow. But good question. QBM Sweden, go for it, Michael.
Oh no, you're fine.
KBM Sweden asking if we expect to see a fully stacked Starship and booster this year.
I don't think so. I think we'll see booster hops first, and then, I don't think we'll do a fully stacked version until they go for an orbital attempt. So I think that'll probably be something for next year, maybe the year after, but hopefully next year.
So you do think the boosters will do hops?
Well, Elon said that, didn't he? 200 hops.
Oh, right. Okay. I didn't realize that. I guess I forgot.
Yeah,
Hard to
I
keep
think
up sometimes.
I think Elon said they would do hops with at least 2 engines. So. But Nick, welcome to Launch Reactor. That is super generous of you. We really appreciate that.
Holy cow. Thank you so much, Nick.
Please join the Discord and say hi. We are excited to have you join the membership program.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a triple Jimmy B in chat there. Thank you so much, Nick. Hope you enjoy the membership and all the perks. And definitely, like Michael said, when you get the Discord stuff sorted out, I know it might take a little bit for that all to propagate, but once you get it sorted, pop into the Discord and say, hey, that's super awesome of you. Thank you so much for your contribution to bringing these views to everybody around the world. All right, I'm going to give you another triple Jimmy. That's a double triple Jimmy right there. It's a Jimmy heavy. It's a lot of Diet Mountain Dew required to fuel a Jimmy heavy. Yeah, when you A/B test it, it's definitely. I mean, there's very little frost compared to what it used to be on the methane tank. Lots tank still going strong, but definitely receding still. I mean, that weld line is almost completely clean again, which is a good indicator. And very little condensation coming out from underneath the bottom of it, although there is some.
and we're just discussing in our back channel right now what we want to do. So I think we're going to take a couple more questions, and then we'll probably wind the stream down and let Mary get some sleep, because as you can see, the frost line is receding fairly quickly right now. It appears that the test article is mostly tanked after what we think to be a successful cryogenic proof test. So if you have a question, now is the time to ask. Probably stay on the air for maybe 5 or 8 more minutes or so. So get your questions in. Yeah, if you have any opinions on like Blue Origin versus SpaceX style colony, if you're not familiar with the difference, Blue Origin is building sort of like, I guess, human-made artificial habitats that are kind of their own separate body, where SpaceX is looking to colonize planets such as Mars. So, do you have a preference on which style you like better, Jack?
I don't know that I like one better than the other, but yeah, I don't know. Both have their advantages. I mean, I'm sure weightlessness is awesome, and the views that you get of whatever you're orbiting would be awesome, but yeah, like gravity is important. I guess there might be artificial gravity. I don't know, but I like the autonomy that you can get by being on a surface colony, because in theory you could like get in a rover and go drive around or something like that. You have more of a chance to like get away from other people versus an orbiting colony. I imagine in my head is more like a battleship or aircraft carrier or a cruise ship or something, right? Like it's got to be its own self-contained thing, or the ISS for that matter. So or a submarine. Probably submarine is the closest out of any of them, given the confined spaces. But hopefully, whatever Blue Origin is building is much more capacious. But yeah, I guess surface colony. But I would do either. I don't think I necessarily have a favorite. But if I was going to pick one, I'd want to go to Mars or the moon and I would want to go to the surface for sure. I don't know if I would want to live on the surface. Whatever is optimal. But what's your opinion there?
I mean, I think there might be a place for both. I could see people like working on a orbiting, entirely human-made colony for a period of time. But I think for long-term civilization that's not on Earth, I think a different planet with a large amount of mass, that such as Mars, that you have some gravity that you don't have to artificially create, as well as, if you're building an artificial body or colony, whatever you want to call it, that's a lot of material you have to get. You have to get there to assemble it. Whereas if you just colonize an existing body, you already have the surface to work with. So I think that's one major advantage of a surface colony. But I think we'll probably be both in some aspects. Like I think we'll see space stations and whatnot what people are working on for sure in the future. So I don't think it has to be one or the other entirely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wish Bigelow hadn't shut their doors. That's such a bummer.
Somebody please buy them. If you're into a stream and you happen to have billions of dollars, Bigelow might be an interesting company to buy, because it has some cool technology. Just not, unfortunately, I guess. I mean, based on their Glassdoor reviews, I think it's fair to say that their upper management had some issues. But if somebody who knows how to properly run a company takes over, I think they have technology that could do some cool stuff.
I know that there's that stuff on Glassdoor, and I don't necessarily think. I mean, I believe it, but at the same time, it's like there's probably a term for it that I've forgotten, but it's like the people leaving a review on Yelp or the people leaving reviews online are often, there's like two categories, right? There's the people that were super pleased with the product or job or whatever, and there's people that were super angry about it. And all the stuff all the people in the middle kind of aren't the reviews that stick out. So I don't know. Glassdoor is definitely one data
I
point,
mean,
but
I think that's certainly a fair point. I just, at least from what I've seen, and again, Jack's right. Only people that leave a review have a strong opinion, but from what I saw, the opinions seem to be universally almost negative. Whereas, if you look at other companies, it seems to be more of 50% super positive and 50% negative, or some like similar ratio. Whereas it seemed like there was a lot of frustration at Bigelow. But
yeah,
who knows?
yeah, and
I didn't work there.
understandably so.
I can't speak from it. I have not talked to anybody who's worked there. I have not worked it myself, so that is probably like secondhand info.
Yeah, and I mean, I've kind of feels crazy to say this, but I've gotten to meet Robert Bigelow and I've gotten to meet Blair Bigelow, and they're excellent people, and I wish them nothing but the best. And yeah, I mean, I think they're great, intelligent people, and I hope Bigelow, the technology that they developed, go somewhere cool and do something cool. Because even in the era of Starship, if Starship is fully up and running and kicking butt, I still think there's a place for the inflatable module, even just attaching a whole bunch more habitable volume to a Starship in transit, or taking Starship out of the equation completely, even in the Starship world. If you have an application where you want a space hotel or what have you, Bigelow modules, man.
If you're not familiar with Bigelow, they build large inflatable space habitats, so you can launch a relatively small, compact habitat, and then you inflate it in orbit, and it gets a lot bigger. It has a pretty large volume. So there's even a Bigelow module on the International Space Station right now. So they have flown actual hardware into space. It's not just a render or whatever. There's actual working hardware right now that astronauts are using. So it's pretty cool. But we're seeing a sustained double vent right now. That is usually the indicator that we see when they have finished testing. So we're going to start wrapping it up here, I think. We'll watch this event happen. But go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, good call. I'm in agreement with that. I just threw a link to that Bigelow tour that I went on in chat.
So I'm going to wrap up the stream, but see Jack's message in chat right there. He did a super cool video where he walked inside of a Bigelow module wearing Snapchat spectacles, and you get a kind of a first-person view of what it would be like to walk inside of one of those, and it's super cool. But anyway, I guess we can start wrapping it up, doing our outro. Thank you to Jack, who has been on this stream since the beginning. I think this is your second night in a row, Jack.
Yep, I am made of coffee.
Yeah, 2 very long nights in a row for both Jack and also, of course, Mary, who is out there in the field right now, bringing us this live video. I was on last night for the entire night, and then I, immediately following the Starship testing stream we did yesterday, I went straight into our Starlink stream, and then I had a class right after that. So I got about 3 hours of sleep yesterday in total. So I was not able to be on the entire night tonight, but I got some sleep and then joined in after a couple hours so that Doss could get some sleep as well. So we've been switching back and forth, but Doss was the other voice you heard earlier. Make sure you follow him on Twitter too. And then I'm, of course, Michael Baylor at NASASpaceflight on Twitter. So I think that's going to about do it. Again, the double vent is happening, which means this testing is over. We're just venting out the remaining gases, nitrogen from Starship SN8. You can also see that the condensation we were talking about at the bottom has pretty much gone away. So I think it's fair to say that this test is complete. There's no more liquid nitrogen in the Starship. It's going to take some time for that remaining frost to melt away. But thank you all for watching. That is going to do it. this morning from Stoke, Texas. See you all next time.
Chamber pressure looks good. Following up. Roger, roll with planet. Water towers fly! Flight downside of speed off. Off. Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.